Hello and welcome to Group F of the round of 24 of ASL Season 19, as only 2 round of 16 spots are up for grabs. In yesterday's Group E, 2 Zergs in Queen and Jaedong stayed alive to join the lone Zerg Sulky. Waiting for today's games are 2 more Zergs and Tier 3 and Tier 4 Terran and Protoss players. Let's have a word with the players of Group F. Hello, good to have you here. First up, Tier 1 player Hero. Hero, you must have felt you got through the qualifiers by the skin of your teeth. You suffered a shocking defeat in the first round of the qualifiers, and putting that behind, filled with rage, you didn't drop a single map in the second round to get here. Looking back at the qualifiers, what memories remain? Yeah, on the first day I followed in the footsteps of Queen, whom I had made fun of prior. It was painful, but I composed myself, worked hard on the second day. Well, I made it through, so I think it's okay. In all honesty, whenever you go through the qualifiers, you have an easy time in the round of 24 to make the round of 16. You're one of those players. And a lot of people will be thinking you making out today is obvious. What mindset did you come with? There's a lot of variables at play because the round of 24 is best of 1 and the players are tough to predict. I can't be careless. I wonder if YSC sitting next to you is one of those unpredictable players. You made it in last season and you're back this year for the main tournament too. Tier 4 player YSC, hello. Hi, good to be here. This is your second season in a row qualifying. How are you feeling ahead of this season's games and what's your condition like? I practiced a lot and the games went well. I'm very confident. YSC says he's very confident and he did show up to the studio quite early. I was impressed by how he warmed up and managed his condition. Now, unfortunately, barring the first time you qualified in Season 9, you would always get knocked out in the round of 24 without any wins. This was a bitter cup you had to drink from. Qualifying is one thing, but I'm sure you want to break this losing streak today. What did your prep look like? I practiced with Gosu Zerg players. Oh, who did you practice with? Jaedong, Sulky, BTS, sSaK, Killer. And have you managed to analyze Hero's style a lot? Hero is Hero, he has his own style. They tried to replicate it, but it wasn't the same. But you have come having prepared sufficiently with a lot of players. Yes. Can't wait. Let's talk to Action as well. Hi. Hi. Starting with Season 5, this is your 15th appearance in a row. You've been with us for quite some time now. How hungry are you to go far in this ASL season? I always want to get seeded, but the round of 24 is the biggest crisis though. It's more than expected the players will be feeling the burden of playing best of ones in the round of 24. And when it comes to Action, you suffered a shocking elimination in the round of 24 last season, which makes me think perhaps today will be even more mentally demanding. I want to hear how you prepared for the round of 24. For starters, I played a lot of games, so I always want to engage with a confident mindset. I prepared diligently, and I want to feel confident while playing. I wonder if you gave special attention to any particular matchup. I think I focused on ZVT the most. In any case, YSC over here, he showed up and all he talked about is girls. He's gotta be popular, hey? Yeah, and he's even trying to sell himself in this pink shirt. I want to take him down. Yes, YSC's dress code does stand out. Action is saying he prepared the most for sSaK. So let's talk to him then. You were on fire even on day 1 of the qualifiers. You beat Light with a 2-0. And the force you showed was something else in the qualifiers. I'm expecting you will have come here with a degree of confidence then. sSaK? I struggle a bit in TVZ, so I practice that a lot and I'm feeling confident. Whether it's because of the performance you showed in the qualifiers, a lot of people are looking optimistically at your chances of advancing today. How likely would you say it is you advance to the round of 16? 33.3% perhaps? 33.3%? How did you come up with that number? Oh, one guy is off the table, and then it's between the three of us. Yeah, I think the chance is 33.3%. I'm sorry to ask, but is the person you're talking about wearing a pink shirt? Well, there is a guy who's only talked about girls, so yeah, take that guy away and it's 33.3%. sSaK is saying he's confident and he has practiced a lot. I wonder if you're trying to lay down a smokescreen by talking about other things. That's the feeling I'm getting. Is that so, YSC? What? I didn't hear you. Oh, you must have all but the match on your mind. Yes, I'm sorry. You said you won a lot during practice, and so you're confident. The other players are saying all you have talked about is girls. And they are thinking you're laying down a smokescreen, so they let their guard down. I saw Mini's stream yesterday, and Action says he's shaking in his boots. This is the first time I've ever heard Action burst out laughing. And I think I'll end up only playing PvZ, so I didn't think about PvT at all. You didn't think about PvT and only looked at PvZ? You'll beat Hero in Action? Yes. But Hero has a 65.3% win rate against Protoss. It won't be easy, you know that. The other 35% will come out today. Oh, you will raise Hero's loss rate today. Hero, what do you think about that? Yeah, my win rate is pretty high. It's like that because I never met YSC. It would be even higher. Today I gotta raise it. Hero, I can see you can't stop laughing. Hero, you also said that you can't let your guard down today. If we look at Action and sSaK's matchup, you both ended up getting eliminated in the round of 24 last season. You met 2 seasons ago in Season 17, when Action ended up winning twice. sSaK, this will be a relatively fresh memory, so I'm sure you will remember that defeat. Yes, I remember that. I was in a favorable position in the decider match. I lost. I practiced diligently to make sure such a situation doesn't arise again. And Action, what do you think of sSaK's TVZ? I think when we're streaming, he's doing well. His playstyle is demanding, but when we meet here, he's nothing like that. So I'll engage with confidence again today. sSaK plays differently in tournaments is how Action feels. In any case, seeing how we only have 2 spots left in the round of 16, even this interview feels like a fierce battle between the players. Let's hear the final words of resolution. Hero? I'll win today and move on to the round of 16. Good. YSC? I'll go to the round of 16 today. Can't wait. Action. I prepared diligently and I'll try to do well. Good. And lastly, sSaK. I too prepared with diligence. I'll try and make it into the round of 16. Got it. Looking forward to great games from the 4 of you. Thanks for the interview. The round of 16 roster gets completed today with these Group F round of 24 matches. Who will grab those last 2 tickets? Let's kick things off and find out.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the final day here in the round of 24 of the ASL. This is Group F. It's been an amazing season so far, Tastosis. I'm super excited to see how these games go today.
And, I mean, this group could actually perfectly balance the next round. You know, if our 2 favorites make it through in Hero and Action, which I think they have a very good chance to, that's going to be a perfect 5-6-5 race distribution, once again, just like the round of 24, which would be absolutely insane to keep that going when we had only Soul Key 2 days ago. So, yeah. It's exciting. It's been awesome so far. There have been, like, I guess, some light upsets. There's been more upsets within the groups, but the best players seem to come out anyways.
Yeah, the players we expect to advance are advancing, but some of them are having a pretty turbulent ride through that group in order to get out. So we've had a lot of great games here. Excuse me. I think you're probably right that it's going to be 2 Zergs advancing. I think Hero and Action when you put sSaK aside, they're basically the two best Zergs we've got, right?
Pretty much.
They have been the most consistent in the last couple of years, obviously along with sSaK. But we also had Queen and Jaedong advance yesterday.
Yeah, that's right. Stork, honestly, Stork should be in the next round. You know, he had Queen pretty far behind and kind of threw that, and then Jaedong made Zerglings, which was a sick move. So you know, he didn't end up making it through, but like he really looked like he was in form to have a round of 16. So a little bit sad to see that from Stork, but I'm sure he'll be back next season. That guy is definitely steady at least.
I think he's never not going to be in an ASL. So it was exciting to see how well he was playing. I'm curious if he's been grinding or practicing a lot more. But yeah, it was a pretty incredible run by him, too. It's truly sad to see him die to that Zergling cheese. But hey, man, you cannot lose your first scouting worker. Every part of what you're doing in a StarCraft game is so important that if you fumble the ball on one end, you can die like that.
You absolutely can, and you know that's what the best of ones really shows us more than anything is how crazy these matches can be. But what I've just really been impressed with is basically the best players still kind of coming out and being able to advance. It's impressive, man. Like to watch them get into these bad positions, then just kind of play through them and wait for that mistake. Like Bisu against Tyson, like, oh my God, how did he come back from that? Queen against Stork. We've seen this a lot of times already this season.
Yeah. Today, you know, Hero and Action are so scary, but we could have an upset here with sSaK. I think Tulbo probably going to get flushed out of this pretty easily, but we'll see what he's got here. He's had a couple epic fails here in the ASL, which is too bad, but you know, every season is a chance to bring the best version of you've got, right?
Yeah. Yeah, well, he keeps doing, like, that guy flies more shuttles into turrets than I've ever seen, man. I actually literally saw him do it the other day again in another game.
Really?
Yeah, where it's like he has a game 100% won, and he flies a shuttle into a turret that with nothing attacking, and I'm like, okay, sick. It's just, he definitely has some issues with that, but he's one of the strongest Protoss. You can't deny that. He's in every single season.
Yeah. Now we're going to be taking a closer look here at Hero. Hero, at times, when I watch him, I think, oh, man, you just can't beat a Zerg this good.
Yeah.
Like, he plays so perfectly. It's so scary. And he doesn't, you know, he's not a guy that ever needs to rely on cheese or aggression. He can certainly do it. He's just got such solid foundations overall.
Yeah. Yeah. He's, I thought he was basically the same level of sSaK the entire time, at least. The thing is, we've been talking about sSaK since like season 3 or so, and how we thought he'd be winning a championship, and it took him a while to get there. Hero as well. And in fact, you know, when Flash was really kind of in his prime in ASL times, he was even saying Hero is the best Zerg. So still waiting on this guy to win a championship. I think he is one of the favorites this season, and I think him against Tulbo is really Hero favored.
Yeah, I think so. We'll see what he's got. Tulbo does occasionally like to cheese or do something kind of crazy. We are in the map Eclipse. So, yeah, let's get into this, guys. Hero versus Tulbo coming up. Again, this is the final day here of the round of 24. So 2 of the 4 players are going to be advancing, and 2 will be knocked out as we go into round of 16.
All right. This is it.
Tulbo will be going with the dark chocolate.
Last
Did you see
day.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's getting that
I keep
getting
meaning
that
to try
energy.
that. Have you tried taking dark chocolate before your matches? I have a box of dark chocolate next to my PC that I keep thinking I'm going to use, and I'm forgetting. It's like been sitting here for like 6 months. Okay, Hero in the bottom left and Tulbo in the top right.
So, like, as to what you were asking right before we started with the dark chocolate, so, like, you know, nowadays I play 2 or 3 tournaments a year, because that's just kind of like the cadence of Brood War tournaments. But when I was actually playing constant Hearthstone tournaments, like, that was a really active period where I was playing, you know, 1+ a month for a while. And actually what I would do for tournaments was I would run down to a supermarket and grab like a small bag of almonds and like a bunch of bananas, and that's what I was using. But I guess we hadn't really seen the pros using dark chocolate at that point. Maybe I would have tried that, but that's what I was using
like
back
we didn't
then.
see it until StarCraft 2. I think they took it from chess players. There's a decent number of chess players that
okay. Yeah,
take dark chocolate.
That would make sense, yeah.
So this is going to be a probe scout that I think is going to go right through the Overlord, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's brave. Oh, no, he's going to go down the little ramp, maybe? No, he's going to go right through the Overlord. Okay. No one's really been doing it that way. Maybe that's the way you throw them off in cannon rushes. You show the probe.
Yeah, I'm so used to just seeing the probe always go around that I'm stunned to just see it make a straight line across the map. This is going to be overpool. So I think it's going to be pretty tough to just get a greedy Nexus if I understand the math on this correctly. But we don't have anything sent down here just yet, so this is getting a little bit scary. As long as the cannon starts, generally, like as the lings are hatching, it can finish.
He does start that forge.
Okay, so he does get the forge.
But a second probe leaving. What is that probe doing, Tasteless?
I don't know. I mean... Okay, so here's the thing. He might want to hide something on the map. I'm not sure. I have personally found that occasionally, like, these Forge Scout games, like, Protoss will scout with 2 probes if it's a 4-player map, and they go Forge first. And that can create an opportunity to cannon rush, but also you can just hide a probe on the map. But, he could be trying some super cheesy, like, I'm literally just going to make cannons at this 3rd base.
Okay.
That would be crazy, because I feel like we never, ever see that.
Yeah.
The other thing is...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna...
I was just going to say, like...
Talk, Tasteless.
Okay, I think he's actually going to cannon rush us.
I think
he's going to
so.
cannon rush us. Look at this.
I think so. Wow, that's like...
Wow.
I mean, obviously some very good planning there. You do not expect this. And he has the cannon going up at home. Obviously, the ling's going across kind of to check that. He keeps the... I think it's important to keep the other probe in vision. You don't want this thing to disappear, or he might go looking for it. Yeah, that cannon finishing up just in time. Now, the gateway there is just slightly late, but do you notice that? That's a hard thing to notice and be like, there's something else on the map. That's like, that might be an overreaction if you were to do that.
This is so funny because, like, it's a real tournament build, by the way.
Yes.
The thing is, how far along are those cannons? I'm not sure what the math is on this.
Well, Tulbo must have good math on
the...
this, right? Like, he can't...
Well, I don't know.
Okay, Hero turned around, so I think Hero just decided, like, okay, that hatch is dead.
I think he might have not initially seen the cannons, too, just because you get vision of it. You're not really looking for cannons in this phase of the game, right?
Sure.
So, Hero's going to ditch the hatchery, so Tulbo's strat works.
Wow.
I mean, that's all there is to it. I mean, he kind of did a very technical move here where he's like, well... No one ever does this, and it almost, this is something you could never do again to a player ever in a tournament because they'd be checking for it. So, pretty cool to see Tulbo's one-off build, pay off.
That's some very good preparation. We've seen these Protoss players actually coming in with good prep, but bungling it. Like his build last season on Dominator against Light, where he lost that Reaver shuttle, like that was a killer build, and that was all over the ladder afterwards. Like that, I was playing against that like 3-4 times a day because it was so strong, but he bungled it and lost. And then, of course, we had the motive game against Rush where he made the gate in the cannon rush in the main base or whatever, right? Remember that one where he went to the wrong base? But, like, these types of builds, it's almost kind of like mini-esque where, like, the Protoss players are starting to figure out that Protoss has some insane prep builds that will only work one time but can get you a win against someone really good.
Yeah. I mean, it makes me think back to players like Nalrod that just had these like crazy strategies that, it's almost like you can't practice to play against it because you're never going to see it again. But yeah, the cannon rush, basically knowing that he can force the hatchery at that 3rd base, and that's pretty far away from everything, right? And just move a probe through all the blind spots and set up a cannon rush. It's very cool. The question is going to be how good is his follow-up, because he's certainly at an advantage right now. But, Hero's such a stable player. He's so scary. I do worry that this would just be like water off a duck's back.
It might be. Obviously, he's missing out on some mining time, a bunch of larvae that he could have had. He did lose a drone trying to get it away from there. Now his third base is further away, so, you know, maybe that allows Corsair DT or some Speed Zealots with +1 to apply pressure a little bit better. You know, there's a lot of things that this does well for tulbo, but the game is definitely not over.
Yeah. You know, it's. I think tulbo's follow-up, by the way, is really good. He's going for +1 attack on both his ground army and his air fleet. And so basically he's going to be going for Zealot Corsair, which I always feel like if you have a successful cannon rush and you've slowed the Zerg down, why would you not just kind of get all of your upgrades and just be kind of an overall strong Protoss that's coming out without any obvious weaknesses, right?
Sure. That is definitely a way to do it, and it seems like he's kind of going down that route. Getting his +1, getting +1 air attack, Corsair coming out, a little bit of Zealot pressure walking out there as well. But the Scourge are coming, so he has to be careful with this Corsair. You definitely do not want to lose this to these Scourge.
No!
Whoa.
Oh God! It was almost like the Scourge was piggybacking, like sitting on top of the Corsair or something.
He could have...
I think he must have missed that. He saw these Zealots coming here. He could have killed that for sure.
Yeah, he definitely could have hit it with at least one.
Group for a little bit.
Yeah, one Scourge was completely underneath it, so definitely a little mistake there from Hero. But he runs his Zealots here behind the mineral patches, and, well, that's going to be a little bit annoying. I love that Hero puts down the creep colony. I never understand when the Zealots are behind the patches why people don't put down a creep colony, man. Like, that's as a Terran player, that's what I would do every time. I'd be like, no, I'm not dealing with this. We're making a sunk.
Yeah, the number of times you'll see like 5 Zealots behind the minerals and they're just going to hit with links on both sides. I'm like, well, that's what they want you to do, right?
Yeah. Why are you doing that? Just make the sunken colony and make them come out, basically. Because they have to come out when the sunk's making. Like, otherwise it's a waste.
Oh, it's going to be double starport here.
Oh. 2 Stargate Corsair. Yeah.
Like,
okay, the Scourge actually scout that. So if I'm Hero here, I definitely cancel any plans for Mutalisk. Yeah, he immediately throws down a Hydralisk Den. Does he have Mutas hatching? He does. So tulbo actually read this correctly, but didn't prevent the Scourge scout of that secondary Stargate. So Hero can kind of come out of this now.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world. The Mutas are basically useless right now. He has made some Scourge and Mutas anyways. I guess that was before he saw the Stargate, like you were saying. But this is going to be Corsairs. They just got their +1 attack out here. Whenever you go for double Stargate, you are getting your Templar tech a little bit later. And we've seen plenty of games, even just in ASL, where players lose the game to Hydras later on. So we want to be watching for that and making sure that even if he can win an air fight, he's got answers on the ground as well. Oh, my God.
Well, that can happen sometimes. He loses a lot of Corsairs right there. Some nice micro here from Hero, trying to eliminate the rest of them. And it looks like he will be able to kill them off. So Hero's actually getting a lot of value with his Muta Scourge, even though he's up against basically the hard counter to it.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. It almost looked like the Corsairs didn't attack right away, right? Like, they kind of sat there, and it was the Corsair was halfway to meeting it before the first shots were fired. But if you mess up the first 1 or 2 shots with the Corsair, all the Scourge can eventually get in there in time. If you have a good engage, you'll end up killing everything off before you lose a single Corsair. But the fact that he's now remaking Corsairs makes me worried, because it wasn't even like a crazy overinvestment from Hero to have those Mutas and Scourge. Hydras are going to come here, and again, we can focus on air as much as we want, but it's going to be the Hydras on the ground that I'm worried that tulbo has no way of dealing with.
The strongest thing that I see against 2 Stargate Corsair is that pre-storm Hydra bust timing, because their macro really gets going, and then it's like your storm is so late that there's this window that opens up where, you know, you can make like a lot of cannons, but eventually there's so many Hydras that you do need Storm. So that does make me a little bit nervous for him. Now, I think he's going to be okay because of that hatch kill in the beginning. I feel like if that hatch kill hadn't happened and the rest of the game looks similar, there would be a lot more Hydras out right now.
Yeah, you might be right about that, but I am really worried for tulbo here. Just because, you know, when you lose that many Corsairs, and I mean, and you went double Stargate Corsair, I mean, you've lost kind of the big assets you had in that game. I generally feel like if Protoss is going to win with anything with +1 air weapons, they can't lose the Corsairs. You know?
Yeah.
So he's remade it, but he's just fundamentally behind on tech.
Well, he does have the Templar Archives. He's adding a lot of cannons here. He has +1 for his Zealots already, with probably just +1 armor coming up. A couple Templars out and waiting, and they almost have the energy. I bet you Psystorm is getting pretty close to done here. So I think he's going to live through it. Like, I think the game is going to continue onwards.
Oh, no, he's not going to die here for sure. He's even got the right number of cannons. The problem is going to be trying to push out. Oh, now he's trying to bait out a Storm. Not a bad idea, although tulbo doesn't bite. Yeah, the issue is going to be just trying to be out on the map. You know, he still has mutas that could try to snipe the Templars. Tulbo's going to have to be very careful to have the Corsairs and the Templars next to each other. Sometimes you'll have these games where, like, you have the answers for mutas, but the Corsairs weren't close enough to the Templars, so it turned out it didn't matter anyways. The speed lots are going to be pushing out now. And, you know, I don't know if there's an obvious target to try to hit right now. I think the third base and the natural base are both pretty well defended. I guess it wouldn't hurt to try to bust up this ramp and hit this now going to be fourth base that he started, where that cannon rush originally occurred.
I kind of feel like they're in a state of, like, balance right now where it doesn't feel like either player can really attack each other. And anytime that happens, that's like what I consider, you know, from fighting games where you go into neutral and stuff. It's like, well, what should you do from StarCraft neutral where neither player actually has damage they can inflict? Well, you should probably expand. I would just like to see tulbo throw down his third Nexus from here.
Yeah, well, he's definitely going to be doing that. First, he's going to have to fight these Hydras. There are lurkers morphing just above this screen over here. Actually, I think it's just literally one lurker.
Is that a lurker?
It's kind of a
morphed?
funny... I think that, I mean, there's an egg there, right? There can only be a lurker in that egg, right?
I think I missed it, but you're probably right because it just started moving again, so it was probably in the control group or something and pulled down. We're just not getting on screen.
It's funny. You almost never see, like, one lurker being made in this matchup. Like, TVZ, sometimes you'll see, like, one or two lurkers somewhere, and it's completely normal. But here, it's like you see, you know, 8 lurkers being morphed or none.
That's kind of funny, because there is, like, one lurker who's, like, the hero of the army or something.
Yeah, he's the leader.
Okay, so the third Nexus
so
gets started.
Yeah, it gets started. So this is really where tulbo is going to be tested, because there are a lot of Hydras. Even just good storm dodging could be an issue here. Keep in mind that it wasn't just the Templars that were delayed because he had to remake the Corsairs. The Dragoons are delayed. So he has his first group of Dragoons, but gosh, this army feels so small compared. Oh my god, the Corsairs aren't guarding the Templars.
Yeah, the Corsairs went over to the other side there after hitting the Overlord sum, or the Muta sum. And that is just way too many Hydralisks, man. Like, Hero has way out macroed tulbo here.
Yeah, Hero is looking so strong here. The Corsairs are doing counterplay, but really he should have kept them back there to protect the Templars. So now a couple Hydras can trickle up into that expansion. The Nexus has been canceled. You know, there is a base at the bottom right that maybe tulbo could try to take, but it always feels like if Zerg puts any effort in denying that, you're never going to get it.
Is this a situation where tulbo realistically can fight back? This feels like he's now starting to play from quite far behind after getting that base canceled.
Yeah, Hero is like even in supply, which is always a bad sign.
Yeah.
Protoss and Terran are both supposed to be ahead of the Zerg for the early parts of the game. I mean, just look at what tulbo has, and then look at how many Hydras there are on the map. Like, I just don't know, even with perfect storms, if you can ever deal with what Hero's got.
Well, Hero is getting into maybe a containment position. This does set up a flank for tulbo. So he is going to try to do that. He throws some storms down. One of them good, one of them not so good. That one hits pretty well. He has more reinforcements coming out as well, but look at Hero and just how many units are coming across the map. I think tulbo is just done, man. And after that cannon rush that was so sneaky, that's rough. Like, I don't see a universe in which tulbo will ever beat Hero. Like, this is crazy.
What I was talking about. Where, like, you look at how good Hero is, and it's like, oh, can anybody beat a Zerg this good? This looks so hard to fight. I think tulbo had some great strategies and ideas. He did not have good fundamentals.
Okay.
And that Corsair control, you know, controlling Corsairs perfectly is a pretty tricky thing to do. They're already pretty good units, but, like, when he lost that fight, it just felt pretty bad from him. I don't know. I think he's about to tap out here, actually. GG.
Yeah. No big surprise there. Hero just smashing his way through. You know, this is actually like a weird thing for Hero because he's almost always top 4. So round of 24 is something he doesn't see that often, and we can kind of see why. You know, tulbo is in like he's been in the last several seasons. Like he must have been in like 3 seasons in a row or something like that. But he's become like a mainstay for Protoss in things like KCM. He's a very strong Protoss for sure, but just not to the level of Hero.
Yeah, it might be a couple more years of him grinding to get closer to where he needs to be. Just doesn't seem to have all the pieces of the puzzle in, you know, a macro game. Even when he got a lead there, you know, Hero was able to pretty gracefully navigate that game and make it look easy.
Well, it looks like we are going to go to a little commercial break here, guys. And when we come back, our next match, Action against sSaK.
Welcome back, everybody. We're going to be going into this next match here. You know, tulbo, I got to say, I like seeing players that, you know, aren't necessarily from these specific eras. Like, you know, we look at like the Jaedong, or we look at, you know, some of these newer players that we've fallen in love with, like Royal. I like seeing people that come up that maybe, yeah, sure, they're not as good as the very best of the best, but they show some promise. And
sure,
it's what's going to keep this game going, you know, for years and years to come.
100%. There is a little bit of rotation occurring. We're seeing some players make the tournament more steadily. We're seeing other players that have been in the tournament while rise, right? Like Rush was probably one of the first that did that, where like Rush started making ASL and started getting better and better, and now he gets deeper and deeper every time. We're watching Barracks go through that exact same thing that Rush went through back in ASL Season 5. That's when Rush was really rising. And now here in 19 or 18 before, Barracks is rising. We're seeing other players just starting to make it all the time, like tulbo, like Scan, right? We're seeing True make it in. I think he's going to be someone that's making it in pretty consistently coming up, probably. And then, of course, we have the real beginners, like sSaK, who's in, you know, for the first time having a terrible season. And so the question is, who gets rotated out as the talent rises? Well, you know, maybe a couple seasons ago I would have guessed Action because he kind of fell off a little bit, but I feel like he's back, Tasteless. Like, I think Action's in really good shape right now. You know, he had that little thing where he retired for like a week. that everyone seems to go through occasionally, and then he just cheesed, I felt like, for a year or something. But I feel like he's back, man. He's been playing a lot of big macro games. He looks like the old Action where I'm like, oh, he'll probably make round of 8.
What is the deal with StarCraft players announcing they're retaring and then not retiring?
StarCraft
like, this is such a thing.
Yeah, it happens
it's
so
such
much,
a thing.
man. It's crazy. Here's my theory behind it. Tell me what you think. But StarCraft is so unbelievably frustrating that you love it and you hate it at the same time. I know I do, okay? Especially when you're playing all the time and, like, competition matters to you. Like, there's nothing more frustrating than this game except for Flash and Sulky. Like, they are probably the only ones that aren't getting frustrated because they win all the time. But for everyone else, it's pain and some pleasure. And the thing is, if you get really good at it, it means so much to you that you announce that you're going to retire because it's such a big deal, but you're never going to retire. If you actually were going to retire, it means you don't care anymore, which means you wouldn't announce it.
Right, you would just fade away.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I'm done with it. Well, this is going to be a fun match. Action versus sSaK. I think Action's slightly favored here, but sSaK, definitely someone who could still take this. We're ready to go into that game right now, guys. This is game 2 here in Group F. Let's go. Okay, Action in the top right, and sSaK in the bottom left. Guys, if you love StarCraft and you love the work that we do here to keep the storylines alive in the English language, please consider joining our Patreon and supporting us there. We wouldn't be able to do this without you guys. We've been doing it for years now. We love this community. We love this scene. So consider signing up.
Yeah, it's patreon.com/ASL English. Thank you so much to everyone who's been supporting it over the years. We hope to keep it going forever.
And I think it probably can just go on forever. StarCraft 1 is the most watched game on the Soup platform. More than League of Legends and PUBG, which are massive out here, more than Overwatch, or any new titles that are coming out. And so what's great is, like, there's always StarCraft happening on that platform.
Yeah.
Basically nonstop. You can tune in and watch these guys train. But it's really cool that Soup has this kind of unifying event that we can all kind of come together and enjoy and crown, the best player. But yeah, I don't see why this would ever end. It just does too well. The numbers are too good.
100%. 100%. Okay, so I mentioned yesterday at the end of the cast when we were kind of like talking about today's match that on paper, these two playing each other is probably the best match in the round of 24, just stylistically. Like, if you play a normal big macro game, Action will win that over sSaK, I would say the vast majority of the time. But sSaK plays really technical games, which can be very strong against macro Zergs early on. He's kind of like a different flavor of Royal, a less fanciful Royal. He doesn't put his pinky up while he drinks things. So, like, yeah. So it's
he's
like,
going to see this Marine.
It's a hidden 8 racks. And a couple things about this, like, Action scouting that right away is really, really powerful. He can pull out enough drones now to probably just stop this dead in its tracks. Because this is a forward 8 racks, you only make up to 3 Marines generally. If you make the 4th, you're skipping SCVs, because you basically have to afford your factory at home really quickly. And this is a really quick factory. He has actually cut quite a bit to make sure that this all works correctly.
So the drones have been pulled. This is... whenever I watch Zergs do this, I'm like, this has to be so annoying and so hard to get really good at, to take your, like, weak, super important drones and try to hold off this rush in the middle of the map. He's going to go around, actually.
Yeah, he's making sure that no more Marines are coming, and he should have Zerglings started now. So sSaK is going to try to get a bunker up. That's pretty powerful. Action may have gone a bit too farther. That's funny because he scouted the factory with his drone. And when you scout the factory, you know it's a maximum of 4 Marines and probably 3 Marines. Okay, so he actually holds it easily. Okay, so
he should have had those Marines behind the bunker.
Probably, yeah. And, yeah, now the creep colony goes down. Starport going up for sSaK. And this looks good for action right now. Like, I would say he's probably ahead. But that's the thing about these technical openers. Like, sSaK could have all sorts of things planned here. Is he just going to go Wraith and hunt Overlords? Is he going to do a Vulture drop? Will he rush to Valkyrie at some point? You know, there's like a lot of things that could occur from here.
So I do feel like the game is generally pretty easy if you've held off that rush as well as Action did. One basing versus Zerg is always tricky, right?
Yes.
So he's going to go for this quick starport, but I think this should be a fairly uncomfortable game for Terran. I guess he's banked up enough resources, he's probably going to throw a command center down at his natural. Well, I thought he was, and that SCV turned around. Okay, he's going to make it in his main.
That'll hide what he's doing a little bit better in case Action has like an Overlord on the way or slips a Ling. And, okay, that was just... I almost feel like it... Well, I guess denying any scouting is probably better. But, yeah, like that Ling, I think, didn't quite get close enough to see if a command center is being built at the natural. But the thing is, you can get people that over-defend if they think, oh, it's a one base. You know, so sometimes making the command center up there can be helpful for that.
Looks like he's going to get a bunch of Hydras here with the layer. Sometimes I feel like what looks strongest for Zerg in this position is to literally go for Overlord speed with Hydras, you know, upgraded Hydras.
It's I like. Well, this isn't exactly that. This is like a single Wraith right now. And, of course, he doesn't know what's following it up. I think he's just going defensive Hydras into Muta, most likely, here.
Yeah, actually, I think you're right.
Yeah, and that's actually something that Sulky started doing against, like, 2-port and stuff, where he'd be like, we'll just defend a little bit with it and then go into Muta normally. Now, sSaK's build here, this is what I was talking about, where he's a really technical Terran. This is something we haven't seen for a long time, but he's actually one of the inventors of the 1-1-1. Like, he put a lot of work into 1-1-1 builds back when we were seeing those all the time. So he's using a very old version right now where you go one base right up into the science facility. So he's going to get vessels really, really quickly to counter the Mutalisks. It is going to be a little bit scary when the Mutas are first coming. It's like you do not have that many minerals with this build. You know, you opened with the 8 racks.
Right.
Your second command center's late. Your SCVs are a lower number. But you have to defend the Mutas while you build up irradiates. And that can be a little bit tough.
Yeah, again, the one-base play, you're always, generally versus Zerg, there's going to be some really unique opportunity to throw them off, but if it doesn't do an incredible amount of damage, it's such an uphill fight to try to get to a position where you're viable. I think if anybody could do it, sSaK could. He's got his Marines coming down here. That vessel and irradiate has started. The second one, I should say. I guess the first one's out over here. Yeah, and the Muta pressure is about to kick in here. He's going to have Mutas inbound. And, you know, like you were saying, Tastosis, you don't actually have a lot of minerals when you do this, so it's hard to have turrets placed everywhere or have a lot of Marines that can kind of buffer and buy time in between that.
And one of the things that can be painful, too, your first irradiate, like, if they pull that Muta real quick, it's as if you did almost nothing. You spent 425 gas and 300 minerals on that unit in that first irradiate, and, you know, it's killed one Muta, you know? So, like, you really have to try to nail your irradiates. You got to wait till they're kind of stacked, get it in the middle, make it hard to pull out, because if you just irradiate, like, the top Muta, you actually get pretty far behind.
Okay, so the turrets are now up. The Mutas are going to just dive right through here. There's the irradiate.
It was a pretty good one.
He can't quite split it. He's still... Oh, my God, 2 irradiates. Oh, this is insane. Action's going to lose, like, every Muta. Can he even get out this way? It looks like there's barely an area he can move through. That was disastrous.
That was awesome from sSaK.
You know, I'm surprised.
Wow.
I'm surprised he went for the dive. I feel like you go for a dive in a more normal game, where you go, okay, your turrets are spread out enough. I can just move through here and fight the Marines and do everything else. But when you're in a position like this, I think you're much better off just trying to hit the exterior of the Terran's base. And when that irradiate comes, you send everything out and then try to pick it out. Trying to pull a Muta out in a big herd of Mutalisks where, you know, you're being shot at and there's very few areas you can try to move them to is really dangerous. So kind of insane to see that many mutas killed off there. We basically never have that many mutas killed early on in a TVZ.
Yeah, that was really, really well done. He nailed his irradiates. He had the anti-air up in position. I don't think that Action is dead or anything necessarily right now. I actually really like that he got that third hatchery quickly. That was one of my favorite ways that Zergs were dealing with the 1-1-1 builds, is just like get a fast carapace upgrade and focus pretty heavily just on making a lot of units, right? Like Ling, Lurker, Hydra Meter, whatever it is, just get a lot of it, because that's one of the big weaknesses of 1-1-1 is you get all of your tech first and then your production, so your actual Marine medic count is not that high. As you see here, right? He's got a ton of Lings. He's getting in here. He's getting the surround. This is really good fundamental play against this, but sSaK is actually kind of microing well. He's bringing everything back. Action runs by. Ooh, 2 fire bats happen to pop. That's really nice.
Yeah, the fire bats are going to run through here now. The SCVs really can't be picked off. Oh, good snipe on the tank. It looks like that. Was that going to be saved? No, there's nothing down here to protect it. Picking off the tank is huge.
That was really good, the tank pick-off. The tanks are, like, really crucial against the Lurkers that are going to be coming out. And he will lose the Lings here that he sent in. But I actually think this is some pretty good play from Action. He's buying a lot of time with it. That allowed him to get the siege tank. And he's kind of macroing up. He's on 4 hatches right now, so he can make a lot of units here.
Scourge, whoa, okay, I thought he was just going to fly right in there. I'm like, is this just a bad rally? So Action, I don't think even has any more mutas in this game, but it's basically gone into Ling Lurker now.
Yeah, and that's definitely something, if you're really on top of your production and your micro as sSaK, that you can end up countering pretty well. But you know what? Like, there's a lot of play in this game. This game can absolutely go either way. I'm liking sSaK's position a little bit, but again, I do like what Action's trying to do. It's just the amount of irradiates that sSaK has. None of the vessels have been reduced at this point. He's got like 5 irradiates ready, I think. So that's like almost every single Lurker. As long as he doesn't get trapped with his army somewhere, I feel like he should have enough to push through. But again, you know, it comes down to Action kind of having some good tactical play, maybe some flanks, maybe coming in from an unexpected position, a counterattack. I'm not sure.
Yeah, there does seem to be a good counterattack that could be set up here by Action. He definitely wants to make sure there's no threats at his third base. So we're seeing sSaK kind of maneuver around trying to meet this, and Action's basically playing keep away here, kind of a game of cat and mouse. But the more time Action can buy, the better. You know, when you see tanks in a game like this, they're only going to be viable up until the Dark Swarm comes out. So it's like you're either going to push or you're going to go into a super long game.
Ooh!
Oh my God, 2 vessels.
Nice. Really, really nice there. God, just burrow that Lurker. Thank you. It's like dealing so much damage. Lings don't have much health, turns out. But yeah, getting that many is really, really nice. It looks like a counterattack is coming up, but sSaK is pushing. I don't know if the counterattack will work because you have 2 bunkers, tank on high ground. There's a second factory, which is a great call here from sSaK as well. Action is in a bit of trouble.
Okay, I mean, it's a lot of Lurkers, though, Artosis. I mean, this counterattack's looking pretty scary. He's going to stim and dive into the bunkers. He's sending the other tank back. Lings are going to be trying to run up onto the high ground. I mean, there's a lot of defenses here, but there's just so much from Zerg. I don't know if it's going to matter.
You might be right. That siege tank got really, really low on health, but the push from sSaK is very strong as well. He gets the siege tank. He has the Lings actually getting on top of the Marines there at the bunker. sSaK stimming in, though. It is a real base trade right now.
We almost never have these in TVZ, like ever.
It's rare.
Both these guys have armies that are big enough that I feel like neither of them can really survive it. We need to see sSaK go up the ramp. He's got to take that natural lap, but he has to run up as fast as possible. Terran, I mean, I guess their buildings can float, so there's a world where you could end up just lifting everything off and flying away and just going to the last Zerg building and closing the game out that way?
Yeah, that's actually really realistic. sSaK's army actually beats everything Action has if controlled correctly. Even though this looks like a ton of damage, and it is a ton of damage, like, he can't actually kill sSaK's army. So You're right. Like, just the fact that floating buildings exist, like, Action can't eliminate him. So I think sSaK wins this. Even though he's killed, like, everything in this base and there's another base for Action, it doesn't matter. Like, he can push through those Sunkens. It's not an issue. If he could get all the vessels, that's where it can turn into an Action victory.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah, if he has all the vessels, then there's no scans. Although,
Yeah.
and actually you're right, because the Terran doesn't have enough resources to build a scanner either.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's still SCVs in this game, by the way.
Oh my
we may be to the
God.
point where there's no way to get an income.
That's so funny.
Oh my God.
Okay, so the one lurker, like, they radiate. It's so brutal. You know, we never really get into situations like this, but this is where a radiate really kills. There are 3 SCVs we just saw. Okay, because I was going to say, that's too bad hatcheries don't lift off, right? Wouldn't that break the game? My God.
And the hatcheries get to burrow now. It's a new feature in the game. I mean, I think this army, if controlled well, is just too strong. I think that's the main issue here.
Totally. Okay, he tries to run up.
He's moving in.
GG.
GG.
Crazy game.
That was a great game.
Yeah.
Very, very unusual to ever have a TVZ where you have a base trade. You know, in StarCraft 2, base trades are extremely common. It just isn't. I mean, obviously it happens. We just saw it in this game, but that was a real treat to see a TVZ kind of end like that.
Yeah, yeah. I don't think it was that bad of a call from Action. You know, if sSaK screws up a little bit, then maybe that works out. I think the initial mutas getting irradiated and just completely shredded that badly, because that couldn't really go either way. Like I said, you know, if you pull the first irradiated muta away super well, that type of thing, it works out. But, wow, crazy game. Crazy game. And sSaK, maybe he can make a big upset in this group.
Yeah. I mean, taking out Action, he can pretty much do anything. And let's not forget, that was kind of a bungled 8 racks into one base play, late expand, and still made it work.
Yeah.
Very impressive. So it's going to be break time in a second here. We're going to have another Terran versus Zerg. It's going to be sSaK versus Hero. And the winner of that will be moving on into the round of 16. Guys, we'll be right back.
Strangers and lovers in the highest heat of summer, talking mid-July. It was only for a weekend, it was hands we weren't keeping in sunset sky. No, moving on, moving in, no, picket fence, sweating red. No, we didn't stay together, know that it was for the better. We damn sure would've ruined it. Topless, yeah, you and I, we were priceless, like sugar sweet Russian. Could've never made it anything, 'cause we never could've ever been honest. We'd never make it to August. We're here to the moment. Could've never made it anything, 'cause we never could've ever been. Late nights over red wine, dancing in the daylight, golden haze. We were loving like we're dying, ever so enticing. Green-eyed gaze, could've been moving on, moving in, yeah. Picket fence, sweating red, trying not to think about it, know that I should probably cut it out. Damn sure gonna ruin it. Topless, yeah, you and I, we were priceless, like sugar sweet Russian. Could've never made it anything, 'cause we never could've ever been honest. We'd never make it to August. We're here to the moment. Could've never made it anything, 'cause we never could've ever been. What if we could've, what if we should've stayed on the beach in Barcelona? What if we made it more than a third day? What if we took it all the way up? Sometimes at late nights, you're crossing my mind. Sometimes I feel like I should reach out. Would that be stupid? Would I just ruin it? Would I just ruin it? I wanna call you up, but it's never gonna be that. Topless, yeah, you and I, we were priceless, like sugar sweet Russian. Could've never made it anything, 'cause we never could've ever been honest. We'd never make it to August. We're here to the moment. Could've never made it anything, 'cause we never could've ever been.
Welcome back, everybody. We're going to go to another Terran vs. Zerg. I'm super excited for this one. Every time I ever cast Hero, I feel like he's the favorite unless he's first Flash. Like, in my head, that's how I perceive him. It's like, this guy is so hard to beat. However, sSaK looked really good back there. So I'm excited to see how this pans out.
Yeah, and sSaK is in really, really good shape. You know, as much as I would like to see both Zergs advance and just give us that perfect balance, you know, from all the other stuff that I watch outside of ASL, like, sSaK is killing it right now. You know, KCM is one of those big leagues that I really, really like to watch, and he's been representing Terran pretty often in that and doing really well, beating Protoss and Zerg players all over the place. So, you know, there's a real possibility that he can beat Hero here. He's got great builds. He plays, like, a bit off meta, but still solid stuff as well. Like, he has really good fundamental understanding of what he needs to do. So you never know what you're going to be up against, and that's hard for Zerg.
Yeah, we're going to go to Polestar for our map here. Hero versus sSaK. Only 2 spots remaining right now in the round of 16. One of these 2 guys is going to get it. We're either going to get a Zerg or a Terran. Let's get into it. Okay, Hero in the top right here. sSaK down in the bottom left. And yeah, let's see how this goes here. I've got to say that TVZ that we cast back there, that was one of the funnest TVZs I've casted in a while.
Yeah.
You know, very different openings here from the Terran. The fact that he managed to kind of get in that crazy base race situation, it makes you think about the game differently, right? So much of TVZ is just like, you know, can the Terran get out there and stop the Zerg? If not, the Zerg is going to get too big. It's going to be too unwieldy. And the only way Terran can recover is to have some kind of insane late game where they're like switching into mech and doing all this other stuff. So, you know, seeing a base race like that is so fun.
Yeah, it's pretty rare. It's pretty rare to actually see a base trade where, especially if it could go either way. You know, if it's a true base trade that early on, I feel like the vessel count is really what oftentimes ends up deciding it. You actually see a few more base trades when it's mech against Zerg, in which case, you know, I think the Zerg does a little bit better than against like a more bio tank irradiate type. Now, this is funny because we're seeing an overpool, it looks like, from Hero. And that's him kind of giving a nod to, you know, here we are on a 4-player map. sSaK is willing to do anything. He's crazy. You know, he did an 8 racks there on a 2-player map against Action. So with the overpool, it's like he's sacrificing a little bit of economy just to stay safe, but sSaK is simply walling in. So that gives sSaK already an advantage at the beginning. But to be fair, if he plays a standard SK Terran, Hero is better at that, right? Like that's where Hero really shines.
So we have the pool. I'm sorry, the hatchery coming down now. Pool is about to finish up here, and it's going to be cross spawns. You know, TVZ. It's a funny thing when you're both sharing a side of the map. You pretty much know where they're likely to expand to. You know, for the third base, they're going to be expanding away from you into that corner that the Terran's not in. But I always feel like cross spawns TVZ. It's really hard, especially in a map with as many expansions as this one. As the game goes on, it can be really tough to track down exactly where the Zerg is growing into.
Mm-hmm. Well, sSaK right now, sending his SCV up. He's going to see, okay, that is a pool first, but this is not an issue because he has a nice wall there, so it's not like he's going to be taking any damage. Still looks like it's going to be a pretty quick layer here from Hero as well. So, you know, he'll still have those options for, like, the fast Mutalisk tech and everything as well. Oh!
Oh! He's actually getting gas.
Not
he's
expected.
Getting gas, but he's got 300 minerals. What is going on here?
Yeah.
What?
Okay, my guess here,
gas
Tasteless,
and then command center.
So I think that was a mistake. I think he told the command center to build, and then he told the gas to build, and the gas stole the minerals. I think that happened because this is not a real build order, it doesn't make too much sense, but he might just have it timed out and he likes it like this. That's a possibility as well. But this is very uncommon. Very uncommon.
Well, hold on. Okay, so no, I think it actually wasn't a mistake because he took him off gas. He made one factory. Okay, I see what this is. He's going to float the factory out and have vultures come in at a really unusual time.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so Gigabrain.
Yes.
I love this. Okay, so it is a fast command center build, but he's just kind of woven this extra little bit of tech in there. And, you know, the Overlord's going to see the command center. It's, you know, it's hard to tell if something's, you know, off by 100 minerals, you know, when it starts.
Sure.
So it wouldn't be obvious, even I think to Hero, that this command center is a little bit late. So what he does is he's going to just jettison this factory out, set up for like 1 to 2 vultures, and if the vultures get inside Hero's base and he's not ready, and he probably will not have a sunken colony.
Probably not.
He could lose this game just on that. I mean, this is so smart.
It really is. Like, this is driving me crazy right now because I'm like, Hero is, like, we're only getting one Zerg out of this group, I think, because this build is so smart. Also, the other funny thing, this is one of those builds that only works on really high levels. You do this against a B Zerg, they might just have a sunken there, and suddenly you're like, oh, I'm pretty far behind now. This did nothing. I spent a ton of money. I unoptimized my economy. You know, my build order is way off. I can't put any other pressure on. So, oh, God. Dude, Isling is going to scout the factory! That's crazy. That gives him... He should be able to block this now. Notice he's pulling all of his lings back, and he's making the sunken immediately. So I think he's going to be able to block this without any real problem. Like, he'll lose maybe a drone, maybe 2-3 lings, but he should be able to stop the Vulture from ruining his day.
I wonder if he was even checking for a factory move like that. I mean, this is so smart, but, you know, this can't be the first time this has ever happened in any game ever. But, you know, Hero's play is so clean. It's why it's so difficult for, you know, anybody to really beat him, is he doesn't seem to have any kind of obvious weaknesses or tendencies that can be exploited. So that was a great save. He ended up losing only 1 drone, so just in the nick of time that ended up working out. He is able to, until the mutas get here, I was going to say he can contain the Zerg, make sure lings can't get out. But now the mutas are inbound, and we're basically going into a normal game now.
Yeah, but the normal game is everything's kind of out of order here for sSaK. You know, he doesn't have that many Marines. His 3rd barracks is finishing. He's getting his turrets up, sure. But, like, he doesn't have a big bioforce. So there's no real pressure that can occur from Terran. Like, his pressure was traded for the sneaky Vulture.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that little Vulture move did not come without sacrifice, you're right. Sorry, not layer tech. Hydra tech is going to be coming down now. The mutas are going to go right inside the main. They kind of thread that needle and get into this position where the turrets really can't do that much. Looks like he's going to have to run back through them, though, as the rest of the Marines come in. We've got the drone over here in the top left, so he's going to be taking another main. And like I was saying earlier, you know, when you're in this position, you know Zerg's taking a 3rd. The question is where. We saw it was a little bit trendy so far in the round of 24 to take naturals instead of mains. And it looks like Hero's going to try to just stay 1 step ahead of that trend and do what everybody was doing, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, which was always expanding into a main and then using lurkers to protect that.
Yeah, I feel like he could kind of choose to do it however he wants this particular game, so it's kind of interesting that he is looking to take that main base. It's just that the build of sSaK is kind of weird, and he doesn't have that many Marines. But Hero, actually, we saw him with, like, early Scourge as well, so he was actually vessel hunting, too. He was like, oh, that was a fast factory. He's probably doing some variant of a 1-1-1, but it's actually not. It's just bio. And, you know, that's going to allow him to still utilize these mutalisks very well.
Okay, he's not going to be drawn into that place in the middle of the map here. The mutas are going to come back and just go ahead and hit stuff. These Marines are going to come up now from sSaK, try to drive this away. I think there's an SCV. No, that's a Marine that's moving out here. So this is going to be very unfortunate because it's right as the hatchery starts. And then we'll see if sSaK can decide to just venture up there and hit that. I don't see Hydras on the map, and usually the way to ensure that you can't be pushed is to have, you know, 1 to 3 lurkers on that ramp. So he's going to scan, he's going to confirm that, and that may be a pretty desirable target there for sSaK to go for.
Okay, I think we might have a factory add-on. I'm like looking at the mini map, and it looks to me like we might. So this could turn into like a little bit of a siege tank push, which actually could work well. It's a little bit of a late Queen's Nest, so I could see sSaK maybe getting something done if he does go like maybe, let's say, a Radiate plus siege tank could put some decent pressure on. Yeah, there's a siege tank. Okay, so he did make that add-on, and he is planning on doing some sort of push. Oh, this is a big move from Hero, though. Reducing the Marine count right now is going to make it a lot harder for sSaK to hit any sort of timing push.
Yeah, he had pretty decent targeting. I think he sniped one Mutalisk. But yeah, definitely going to be slowing down any progress here for sSaK trying to get out on the map. We've got another vessel being made. There are the Hydras that are going to go and help defend. He could also use these as lurkers to try to take a fight out on the front.
So sSaK is
on
on
Hive Tech starting here.
Yeah, sSaK is on two siege tanks right now, so I think we'll probably see the move out pretty quickly. He's just waiting for that vessel and that irradiate. Oh my god, his Marines and medics are stuck behind that egg. Dude, his pathing. I've actually had this happen on this spot too. Like,
oh really?
Yeah, this spot, like, stuff gets stuck if you wall sometimes. Like, yeah. That's rough, though. Losing a siege tank when you're lining up a siege tank push. And he lost extra Marine and Medic because of that, because his other units shouldn't have been back to reinforce more quickly. I tell you what, it's actually reminding me of the first game of tonight with Hero against tulbo, where tulbo killed his hatchery with the cannon rush. That was so sneaky and so well placed.
Yeah.
And now it's like we're looking at this, and it's like, well, you know, Hero's scouted out everything. He's stopped everything. He's getting way ahead. He's outplaying by magnitudes these other players.
Yeah, you're right in that it's very reminiscent of the tulbo game. It's like you had to. Oh, hold on. I thought I was going to be hold position for a second.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's like you have this great idea, but the reality is this guy's just like a stronger player. He takes better fights. He's kind of better at production and everything else. Look at this flank that could happen here on the lurkers. He could end up just hitting this from the side. The tank siege up. This is always what you want to do as Zerg. Just burrow away. Force the Terran to siege and unsiege as many times as possible while you try to muster an army that's going to be bigger than what they're pushing at you.
Even the hold position on that irradiated Muta that dealt extra damage to the Marines as they ran up for that flank was insanely good. And the Mutalisk harassment here, look at this. He's like picking off a siege tank, picking off both. What are we even looking at, man? Why is he in the round of 24? Like, what's the point? Like, yeah, okay, oh, he didn't make it to the round of 4 last time? Well, that was a fluke, guys. Okay, why are we wasting people's time with Hero playing the round of 24? It doesn't even make sense.
He should be auto-seeded into the round of 8 just every time.
Yeah, why not? Like, it's like we'd save a lot of time and budget.
The way he's taking these fights, the Terran is going to not have any of the tools they need by the time they get across the map. Consume's almost done, by the way. Yeah, I mean, let's see if sSaK can push up here, but right now, this is just looking brutal.
The one thing about sSaK this game, by the way, we saw him add an armory earlier. That armory only makes sense if he's going to do a mech switch. So I want to throw that out there, that there's a real possibility he attempts a mech switch in this game. And it kind of makes sense that he would try something like that because his position is pretty weak with the bio here. So here comes a little flank, and yeah, he brings the Lings from the high ground. It's lurkers as well. Dude. He's just
completely shut down. He's even going to get this vessel that's fleeing. He might even be able to get this other one here as well.
There's so many levels to this game. Like StarCraft. The fact that we're watching someone that's been in most of the ASLs get absolutely trashed.
I know.
Like,
it's crazy.
Everything he does is getting completely shut down. He's one of the best Terrans. I've talked to other Terrans. A lot of people, everyone rates him top 10 Terran in the world. And I've heard him rated as high as the 6th best Terran, okay, from pros. Like, people really respect him and think he's great. And we're watching number 2 Zerg play with his food. Like, it is insanity how far ahead Hero's getting himself right now.
No, it's insane, man. I mean, he just looks so strong. It looks like one guy passing another guy in a ladder match.
Yeah.
Where it's like, well, this account's not supposed to be at this rank, so it's too bad this guy's getting whooped here. But, you know, eventually this player's going to be where he belongs, and, you know, this guy will go back to playing somebody on his own level.
I get to play pros a few times a day generally, and a lot of times it looks like this, where everything I do doesn't work, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't know, guys. by 15 minutes, I'm so far behind. Why am I even in the game still? It kind of looks like that from sSaK's point of view. Hero has more supply. There is the mech switch starting here. He's getting the vultures out. He's laying some mines. But Hero's taking a 4th base that I don't think is going to be broken as of yet. There's still some potential here for sSaK. Mech can get very cost efficient. So I don't want to be a complete doomer, but it is very bad right now.
No, it's pretty awful, man. I mean, right now there is just so much going on for the Zerg right now. Oh my god, this mine, okay, could have been much worse. I was going to connect to more of those lings. This counterattack's insane, by the way. Getting a Dark Swarm up here. Can he snipe this Defiler? Okay, this is bad,
Snipe a Defiler, Tastosis. You silly man. We don't have feedback. We don't have Psy Storm. No, you can't snipe a Defiler. He's going to kill just a lot of SCVs here.
I love that you think I would ever Psy Storm and Defiler Artosis. That's the craziest. That is the Terran bias. I don't know the other matchups. It's like, oh, a Defiler. I storm it and it just runs out of the way and it's got 75% of its HP.
No, I know that one. It's it's got more armor than an Ultralisk as far as I can tell, Tastosis. I have a full group trying to stim one down and it just walks away. I'm like, okay, guys,
so
that's pretty cool.
I'm chasing a Defiler and I'm shooting it with Dragoons and Zealots are punching it, and it's like, oh, he's not even watching. I'm going to get a free Defiler, and he still has time to turn around and plague my entire army. I'm like, oh my god.
Yep. Well, he has Dark Swarm, that natural. sSaK, unable to really mine. He is sending out some Vultures, which, Vultures can really prolong a TVZ. You lay the mines down, they can catch Zerglings pretty well. The mines obviously can be really cost efficient. And here's the problem. If sSaK starts to really make this look like he's going to be able to come back or something, Hero can just make a huge round of queens. Or he can look at this and say,
sure,
no Goliaths? Okay, here's 12 Mutas suddenly. And then he flies in, snipes, 5-6 tanks. And that anything like that basically wins the game.
I mean, it always feels like Terran can make this work if they get into an overwhelming leading position, they take the entire bottom side of the map, but it's tough, man. The queens alone make it so easy for Zerg to kind of deal with this,
For sure.
It's so epic when you see tanks get brutalied, but it is amongst the easiest things you can do in a game of StarCraft. Have a bunch of queens fly across the map and just brutaling stuff. The Dark Swarm is going to make pushing impossible. I'm actually kind of stunned he was even pushing here. I thought the way Terran wants to play this is they just kind of make siege tanks and spread out on the map and just start taking bases and planting mines everywhere.
I think he's just trying to do everything at once right now because he's behind. So it's like, okay, if we can attack, and he has 3 tanks, so he can pop lurkers in one shot. So if Hero's a little bit late, maybe he gets a couple lurkers. And the attacks started doing okay until the Dark Swarms came down, as they oftentimes do. But you know what? He's got his 4th base up. Normally, historically, when you do mech switches, what you want is 4 bases while you mech switch. This was the mech switch started, then he took his 3rd, then he took his 4th. So it's a lot closer and harder position because of that. And that's what I'm really worried about with this mech switch is he doesn't have a tempo advantage here, which I feel like you basically always need against Zerg.
Yeah. What we when you're doing this mech switch, it's so important to keep that initial bio ball available and ready to protect. He's pushing out now, going to crash into these Zerglings over here. Maybe he could make this work if he gets a couple more radiates up over here. What's going on at the bottom right, by the way? There's some stuff there.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I think it would be genius if Zerg just took that bottom right base.
Yeah, well, he should just start expanding everywhere. Throw Niduses down. Because at the end of the day, you could have, you could use some sort of hack to get 4,000 siege tanks, and they're not going to kill Lurker under Dark Swarm. So, as long as Hero is keeping at least that amount of defense ready, it's going to be really hard for sSaK to actually finish anything. But sSaK is one of the best mech players, and I think you can see that here because this game started really badly, and he's kind of got like, you know, he's making it a game for sure. That was really good. I love the vessels in here, by the way. But yeah, a few ultras come up. It's funny, he's even making some ultras at this point, but he gets into position on that 4th base. sSaK no longer mining from there. sSaK is really putting a lot of effort into killing this base.
Yeah, he's trying to push through. The thing is, if you get enough tanks, the Dark Swarm isn't as impactful because there's just so much splash damage coming down.
Yeah.
But it is pretty hard to force. That being said, I mean, there's no defenses over there. The thing I'm worried about is that because he's not doing that kind of defensive, like, I'm just never going to fight you style, like, you have to kill me off, he lost sSaK. And he's probably never going to control the bottom right. And I think long-term, the way this goes is that Zerg sustains, barely survives, and Terran just dries up as far as resources go.
The one thing I would like to see from Hero here, because their radiates have been constant from sSaK, which is great. Like, Vessels with mech is amazing. But if he just made a group of 12 mutas, I think he kills all those tanks before anything can happen. Even if you get 2 irradiates off, it doesn't matter. Nothing here shoots up. Nothing.
Right, right.
And that's like that's a very common way for mech players to end up losing, is like they just don't have the balance of anti-air there, and then the mutas fly out because Zerg can build anything out of their hatches. It's not like against Protoss where you're scanning for Stargates and you're ready. Against Zerg, it's just like, well, they have a Spire. It could happen at any time.
It's a unique thing about the way Zerg works is they make all of their units from one position, right? From one larva. You can make anything in the game. So you can make, you can make all Lings, you can make all mutas. As long as you have the money in the bank, you can get whatever you want. And it's kind of an obvious fix here if you just sent some mutas in there. Yeah. Doesn't matter, though. The Lings and the counterattacks are going to be enough. GG, Heroes moving on. A result we all expected. He is still easily one of the best Zergs of all time.
He made it look pretty easy. He really outdid sSaK here. But we have to give credit where it's due. sSaK came in with very good plans today. He's still in it. I think there's a really reasonable chance he gets out in 2nd place. And I tell you, like, if he wasn't in such a bad position already when he started mech, that could have been a very cool game because he played the mech very well. It's just he didn't have the bases, he didn't have the income, so he couldn't field the army as quickly as he needed.
So, obviously, sSaK's not eliminated. He's going to be going to the finals match. Coming up next, we're going to have the losers match, but first, a quick interview. Oh, nope, sorry, not yet. We're going to get that in a second.
A quick replay. Yeah, this was obviously a pretty crucial thing. Like, a lot had already happened. This push was actually looking pretty okay. You know, Hero was being a little bit stubborn with his unit choices. But the counterattack that just killed off the 4th base of sSaK, like, you really need 4 bases playing mech. Just in general, like, really every matchup, mech needs 4 bases to function correctly. Otherwise, your army you can't really replace anything.
I think he should have just spread out siege tanks and vultures and just started taking the bottom. There's
you think
so
just
many
like a big turtled approach?
Yeah, I think that's just a stronger way to play because then you are not getting counterattacked. They have to send everything into you and you're just killing it off.
Yeah.
I mean,
the only problem with that is you invite the queens. Like, the big fear is always, like, if you start to play turtled, that they'll just pop 10 queens and then, couple minutes later, the value Zerg is getting is pretty insane. So I think you see a lot of mech players try to do pushes just because if they can keep you producing units at least, there's no queens out there. Because, like, queens counter mech so hard.
Yeah, I guess the truth is Terran, generally, if they win this matchup, they win with the push. If they're going to lose, they either lose before they can get started due to harass and counterattacks, or they lose post Dark Swarm, where it's a game that Zerg can basically take a fight.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead to that interview now with Hero.
You're watching Group F of the round of 24 of ASL Season 19 as we have one more Zerg survivor moving on to the round of 16. Let's meet Hero. Congratulations. Thank you. You've now made it into the round of 16 for 10 seasons in a row. All in all, your performance today was ever so smooth, so much so you were nodding to yourself all along. How are you feeling? For starters, it was easier to advance than I thought. It's a little puzzling. I worried about having to play ZVZ, so I'm glad we didn't end up meeting. Regardless of you being you, having to play a best-of-1 ZVZ is nonetheless burdensome. You scored a victory in the winners match against sSaK as you quickly make it out of the group in first place and into the round of 16. Looking at that ZVT against sSaK, you played a safe macro, a solid macro, starting with a pull first in the early game and then dealing with a mech switch later on. You showed your unique take on ZVT. How did you feel about those games? I'm satisfied having won with a pull first. There were more tanks than I expected, so I got a little confused, but I managed to stay composed when defending and I ended up winning. There were some moments where sSaK confused you with its unusual play, but being the seasoned veteran you are, you knew how to manage a crisis. In the past, you've been getting through the round of 16 and getting seeded. It feels you need to clarify what goals you have for this season rather quickly. This season, somehow, some way, the games go really well nowadays. This season, I'll work a little harder. I think I might have a chance to contend for the title, perhaps. Winning the championship is my goal. You're saying you don't know why the games are going so well, but I think I do. Starting with your practice. So many colleagues and so many of your students, they gathered around you to give you energy, to give you support. How meaningful is that? Our JSA students, it feels like our team is of a single mind, so they've been giving me a lot of support. Today, I didn't have lunch before coming here. I asked them to buy me some food and they did. I had something to eat and then played well. I'm grateful to them. And you repaid their support by quickly advancing to the round of 16. Your colleagues will be happy with this, but also your fans will be looking to see you perform this season. Do you have any words for them? Last season, I got knocked out in the round of 8. It was regrettable. This season, I'll look after myself. I'll take care of my form, my condition, and I'll work hard so I'm able to look towards a championship run. Always thankful to my fans. I'll keep a close eye on your journey this season as you're aiming for a high placement. And do you want to thank your colleagues who helped you practice? Yes. Motive, Royal, BTS, thank you for helping me practice. And the management of our team cheering for me online. And I also wanted to thank Ample. Once again, congratulations on advancing to the round of 16. Thanks for the interview. Thank you. And there you have Hero, who makes it through today and onto the round of 16 in quick fashion. We'll take a short break and return for the losers and decider matches to see who's going to be the final player joining the round of 16 this season.
First time I saw you, I knew I had to have you. one night stand. Gotta find a way to be a man. It's something about the way you turned and looked at me. Your smile, it turned me on and set my mind at ease. I'm trying hard not to stare. Don't wanna look thirsty. Just trying to play it cool. Gotta show you that I'm worthy. You walked in all the air and seemed to leave this room. I just had to find a way to get next to you. I'm here to testify. Give me a chance, I'm satisfied. Captivate your heart and I'll blow your mind. Don't wanna pass me up cause I'm one of a kind. So you're checking me out, trying to figure out what I'm all about. Wondering if my love will make you scream and shout. If I don't at first, I'm gonna figure it out. Wolves howling at the moon, peacock and acting like a fool. Unbothered as you sit through all the nonsense they throw at you.
Welcome back, everybody. Action versus Tulbo coming up here. I think we're probably all in agreement that Action should take this. Tulbo, he's definitely had some great ideas. He's, when you're Protoss, there's a lot of very unique, creative things you can do, like that cannon rush that he did that was sort of kind of impossible to prep for because on some level it doesn't make a whole lot of sense because if they know it's coming, they can stop it, right? It's not hinged on like, oh, you got your pool later and I have this forge and I can kind of punish you and I can do a SimCity where your drones can't get back here. The thing with Tulbo is that I think his fundamentals aren't anywhere near as good as especially Action's.
I definitely agree with you on that one. I think Action's mechanics are second to none, really. But maybe, I think if Tulbo gets a lead like he had on Hero, it looks a lot harder for Action. I mean, you can see the difference between Action's game against sSaK and Hero's game against sSaK. Big difference.
So let's see if Tulbo has another unique idea on how to approach this. It's going to be a tough group, though. He's definitely the weakest guy out of the four. Hero's already out of the picture. We're going to go to that losers match now, guys. Okay, cross spawns here. Action in the very top left, and Tulbo in the bottom right.
So, Metropolis, definitely a map we're still learning quite a bit about. Obviously we had that kind of crazy game with Stork versus Queen here yesterday. But I don't feel like too much of that was really too map dependent. I don't know that we've seen anything on the map yet where it's like, wow, well, that's what Metropolis will do for you,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is certainly a map where Action could play a very standard game or a very kind of tricky, crazy game. Again, I'm a little afraid of early game. Any race that's got to be the defender early on, I think this is just a bit of an uncomfortable map overall. Yeah, I mean, and then just in general, Tulbo, it just seems like he's not quite... Oh, it's Harstem in the audience.
Yeah, and Petit Drogo, too. Nice.
Oh, I almost missed that. You're right. He was there, too.
Yeah, he's got the long hair now. Harstem's been playing a lot of Brood War. Did you notice?
Yeah, I have. We're going to have a show match, actually.
Are you serious? Can I cast that, Tasteless?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be up, it's going to be probably when you're asleep.
Well,
if you want to do it.
Well, send me the replays is what I mean. I would lag the game because I'm far from you guys, but yeah, I'd like to see it. He's a really great StarCraft 2 player, and he's been putting in some effort.
Yeah. You're going to be at a tournament soon, right, Artosis?
Yep. I'm actually leaving right after we finish this cast and I edit the video. I'm going to the airport, so
I'm excited, man.
Yeah,
I'm excited. Is there anywhere people can watch that?
Yeah, it'll be on Zero's channel, which is ZZZEROPL on Twitch. He does all the BSL stuff, so it's a big BSL LAN. A lot of top players from Europe there.
That's going to be exciting. I'll be spamming copy pasta in the chat.
There you go.
I'm also playing in a big Warcraft 3 show match for Grubby. It's going to be on the 19th and the 20th. Maybe 18th and 19th. I'm not sure.
Nice.
So I've been training in Warcraft 3. So we got all our little matches coming up here.
Yeah.
I'll probably be playing Harsum after I'm done with that Warcraft 3 match. But he's looking pretty good.
Yeah.
I think he's like somewhere around B or almost A by now. So
Nice. Yeah, good improvement.
But, you know, I think he's putting about 100 hours in, he said, right, to StarCraft 1?
I think that was
in that
plan.
amount of time.
I think in that amount of time he'll fall in love with the game and just play it.
Yeah. Well, also, I think it's enough time if you come from StarCraft 2 to kind of wrap your head around StarCraft 1.
For sure. We've actually had some StarCraft 2 players go over to StarCraft 1 and do really well so far. Like,
no.
anyone who comes over. Like, the thing is, if you're good at RTS, you're good at RTS. And people act like you can't switch between them. You absolutely can. You just have to put in some time to figure out the differences.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, in this game, it was the gateway expand. They're far away enough from each other. It's kind of hard to do anything. If you go gateway expand, it's never, like, great cross spawns as far as, like, getting kills and doing damage with the Zealots. But he sent 2 Zealots over here, and he's hitting this 3rd hatchery. He could run behind the minerals here. There is a setup where you can basically plug up the 2 minerals, and it's pretty good. But let's see if he's able to do that because, again, we've seen Tulbo with some fails here.
Yeah.
And if you don't get much done with these Zealots, it's almost not worth it. So this is what I was talking about. If you wedge in between those minerals, it's a really unfavorable fight. This is not one where Tulbo is going to be cutting corners, by the way. He did get his gas before Forge, but he's not doing anything kind of crazy like we saw Mini do, where he would like get a cybernetic score, for instance, at the wall in.
Yeah, I do like that type of play. I love seeing Mini specifically push the boundaries, but I think it's probably smarter for Tulbo to play it a little bit safe. Yeah, because see, the Hydralisk then comes down. Action is very good at mixing in cheesy stuff. I actually think he might do it slightly too much. I think Sulky has the perfect balance of it, but some players don't do it enough. Like, you don't actually see Hero almost ever cheese because he just outplays people, but I actually really appreciate great macro players who will mix in, like, just some rushes in there just to make their macro play that much stronger.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think that the Hydra rush is maybe one of the best rushes in all of the StarCrafts. Maybe all of the RTSs. Like, it's so strong. Not too terribly hard to do. And when you fight somebody who's, like, really good at doing it, it's so scary, man.
For sure. And Action definitely is quite good at doing it, although it is cross spawn, so we'll see how well he can execute that against Tulbo here. Now, he clears out the Zealots with those speed Zerglings, and that will, you know, prevent any more like scouting of what's occurring here. So there's like a group of speedlings out, but that doesn't mean that much. That could be a Hydra bus that it's going into. That also could be a layer. Like, you get Zergling speed with a layer all the time.
So, you know, in this game, I feel like he has enough time that he should hold this. It's a little bit better to be... Okay, no, that's interesting. I thought he was going to maybe make it 1 hex up. So he's making enough space that, you know, if the cannon is right up in front of the Forge, it's bad because the Hydras just run up and shoot it down and can back up and wipe everything out. This isn't a wall-in setup where you're probably okay giving up the gateway and the Forge.
Yes, for sure.
Where's that Corsair? So this Corsair, it's crazy, by the way, this whole build, the way it's timed out. You can exactly barely spot a Hydra Rush and stop it in time. And so he's going to see right now that this is actually a bust. So he's going to need to get 2 more cannons right away. He's going to cancel ground weapons, by the way.
And Action starts working on the gate. It is important for him to clear these front buildings because he does have a decently sized group of speedlings there that he's going to want in the battles. Ooh, a little bit sloppy there, losing a Hydra. That has to feel good as Tulbo.
You know, it's a funny thing. There's something about certain units in StarCraft when you're trying to, like with Dragoons trying to hit a bunker, like the number of times the Dragoons will walk into range. Like, you can outrange stuff, but you can't always trust a pathing to go where you need it to be. So it looks like, I think Hydra Range just finished here. Now it's going to be easy. He can tear down both the Gateway and the Forge.
Did you see that cannon cancel, by the way?
Made.
Did you see that? That he canceled the 5th cannon? That was like kind of like a Chad cancel right there. And look, he restarts it now as more Hydras are popping out. His Corsair scouting is doing really well.
Yeah, well, he's smart. He's saying, okay, if you see drones hatching, you go, okay, stop making cannons. He's not going to try to kill me. But the more Hydras that are made, the more cannons you need. To the point where in some positions, you just need a ridiculous amount of cannons, and even then you got to get Storm. Because they can still bust you down.
Yeah, the footprint of Hydras are small enough that you like can overwhelm cannons with them over time in these little chokes. It is hard. You do need to make quite a few, and he is making some more Hydras and sent them down, but I think he might be back to droning now. But Tulbo does get 3 more cannons, so 7 cannons and 4 Zealots in front is a pretty darn good defense.
Right. So the gateway explosion is always much later when you have to get a whole bunch of cannons. But you can eventually get an army that's big enough to push with. You know, it's funny. I wonder if he could have just busted him had he kept making Hydras. Because if you look at just sort of the way everything's spaced out, you can't make cannons on that concrete stuff to the left side of the cannons. And it feels like, you know, there could have been an extra row of cannons behind this if he had just moved everything a hex up. I almost wonder if you could have just forced a win by overwhelming him down here with mass Hydras, just because there's not enough room to make all the cannons you might need to hold that rush.
Well, yeah, that's like the actual surface area that you have for building. That is kind of funny because he's got like that dead space between the cannons and the Nexus there where nothing will really fit, whereas if they were 1 hex forward, he could fit another row. But yeah, he could fit like 2 more cannons that wouldn't be in front of the other ones. But yeah, it doesn't seem like it's going to actually end up mattering in that regard. Dark Archon on the way, and he has Double Forge. I actually really like how Tulbo's playing this. I'm a very big fan of this style specifically. Like, if they do a Hydra bust, like, I don't play PvZ that often, but I love going Double Forge against a failed Hydra bust. You know, it's just something about it feels so right.
Well, I think you have to try to get some kind of a timing later on. And the truth is, you actually end up with a lot of excess gas because you're mostly just making cannons, right? So I like what Tulbo's done here. We actually saw, just for a split second, a Dark Archon down there.
Yeah.
So, you know, I've found, you know, in my games, but just in general, there's so many games where they go for the mutas after the Hydra rush. Basically, you try to push out. You weren't able to make Corsairs because you had to spend your money making cannons and getting Storm. And, you know, all the mutas have to do is snipe your Templars, and that's game. So the Dark Archon with Maelstrom is the perfect response to this.
Yeah, I love to see it as well. Did you see that drone transfer? That was like a hilarious amount of drones. Like, he's fully saturating instantly his 4th base. Like, action has really droned up here, and that makes me actually a little bit nervous for Tulbo. Even though I really like how Tulbo's played this so far, action is kind of, it feels to me like he's greeding a little bit, and it looks good.
Yeah. Seems like he was a little bit clumsy with the timing of the drone transfer, so this is actually a lot of lost mining time. And we're starting to see Tulbo move out on the map here. So he has taken the 3rd base. He should be setting up for a push. I think 1-1, yeah, 1-1 is done. Yeah, this is going to be... go ahead.
I'm looking at this like defensively because the 4th base is so far from the rest of action stuff. Like, okay, this base can be turtled on the high ground like that. That makes sense. You can turtle this base like that, but that gives him 3 locations he can pressure and maybe attack. So I don't know. It looks kind of funny the way that this is defended. Like, action is defending 3 places completely separate from each other.
Yeah, you're always looking for whatever is going to be the soft spot. I have found that if you push their natural and just take your time, a lot of times they'll send lurkers and try to run into you from the side if they're worried they're going to get broken. I find it so difficult to do what Tulbo's going to try to do here, which is to kind of move up to the high ground and do damage there.
Well, he's grinding a little bit.
Protoss army feels small, right?
Yeah, it does. It's very technical army. It feels like an army where, like, yeah, you can walk out and like do a little bit, but as your spells are running out, you should probably go home.
So some Lings are going to continue to counterattack here. I mean, action's going to basically try to just be turtling really hard. It doesn't seem like we're going to have any way to mute a snipe with the Dark Archon out here, so it's just going to be like a lurker Zerg staying back, trying to get as much as possible. Ooh, gets the Nexus there.
That's annoying. I think Tulbo will just start it back up again. He has plenty of money right now. Actually, maybe not macroing quite as well as he should, but the way this game is going, you know, we always end up talking about Reavers because this is definitely a game where it's like full tech, both sides. And Action has been known as like the best Defiler user for years and years and years and years. He is so good once you get him Defilers, like his Plague Grind, his Darkstorm usage, attacks with Defilers, everything about the way that Hive Zerg functions plays to Action's strengths. So I'm looking at this, and if Tulbo does not like go heavily into Reavers pretty soon, I am predicting disaster for him.
Yeah. Yeah, this is... Well, I mean, look, similar to the TVZ that we were talking about earlier, like, if you don't kill the Zerg with the push, generally, like, Zerg's overall... There's even statistics out on this, by the way. If the game goes on long enough, meaning the Zerg wasn't killed with push, usually the Zerg is in the stronger position.
Yeah.
That's true for PVZ, it's true for TVZ.
Yeah.
And this just looks like a game... I think he's going to try to push. Let's see if he can get in there. But if this push doesn't do it, I think you're right. We're going to have to see Reavers. Similar to, like, the... you know, the mech game where, like, Terran just lifts off all their barracks and makes tanks and vultures. It's kind of the same idea here. It's like, okay, we need to get Reavers. Oh, my God, those ropes are not mining.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so painful.
That's a sick Maelstrom. I love that. Well, does he not have a Storm to follow that up? He throws down a secondary Maelstrom? The Lings are just tanking. Like, Maelstrom doesn't last that long. So those looked awesome, but actually it didn't really work out. Like, he just spent 200 mana. He didn't... Well... Nah, doesn't quite get the kills, though. Oh, come on, Tulbo.
Oh.
Come on.
This is so
I don't want to
painful
see
to
someone
look at.
lose because of that, man. Remember the Snow Sulky game on Blitz Y? Okay, there we go. Thank God. Oh.
Oh.
Stuff like that's painful,
Okay,
man.
Zerg... Well, you know, it's... StarCraft's a game where you have to manually do everything right, including make those workers mine. And, like, yeah, just seeing that it's like, oh, you're on 4 bases, which is great, but you're not using one. So.
Yeah.
So Zerg's going to try to take the top right. This game's not over, by the way. But Zerg is going to need to get another main. That's their whole goal now if they're going to be viable.
And as far as Tulbo goes, like on 4 base, you can kind of afford everything. And he's actually going to run up and try to break this right away. I think that's actually a great move from Tulbo. Just instantly deny this before it's set up. Like, that's not the last word in a 5th base for Action. I think he will eventually probably get one this game because it doesn't look like a game where either player can win anytime soon. But just to delay it a bit gives Tulbo a lot more options in this game.
Yeah, as long as he denies a main, it's fine. Definitely you want to get lots of DTs in moments like this. Just try to do the control play. The problem is that it's one of these maps where they're cross spawned. So there's 2 possible mains you can take. Nice storm there. Doesn't quite kill the lurker off. It's pretty tough to stop the Zerg if they get the lurkers up on the high ground. You really need to like kind of stop that before it starts. Here's a Defiler. Artosis would think Protoss storm these when they see them.
Dude, the fact that you pretend that Storm doesn't kill everything in this game is hilarious
Artosis.
to me.
The idea that you would ever see a Defiler and storm it is truly hilarious. Now, I think he's got the bottom left main. The lurkers got up there, but did a drone get in there?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, look at that. Drone. Well, at this
so
point,
you can start the hatchery.
Yeah, at this point, you could get drops, too. Like, I mean, you can kind of afford everything on both sides. I am worried about Tulbo, though, because I love his roaming. I actually think he's doing a really good job kind of roaming back and forth and picking off units and making it hard on Action to get things done. But if he does not increase his tech, if we don't see speed shuttles and or Reavers coming up pretty soon, I really got to question what's going on because you're not going to win with just a ground army running around like this, I think.
I agree. I'm a little bit bewildered that we don't have Reavers here. Now, we're talking about, like, what does Zerg need to do? Oh, he does have the tech for it, so I think we will see Reavers soon.
Yeah.
Protoss needs to get... Now, it's funny. They want to get the natural. The Zerg always wants to get the main base, but the Protoss wants to get the natural. If you can do what Tulbo is about to do here and basically just cannon up and get Reavers there, you're going to get the main for free. Now, in a game where it's split map, okay? And by the way, there is a middle base on this map. I don't know how important it is because I think it's like 2 patches or 4 patches in the gas. So it's like, that's nice, but it's, you know, not quite enough. If it's split map and Protoss manages to get that bottom left main, I think that Protoss can end up winning long term. But it's tough.
That is a tough game. I feel like when I see games like this, Zerg generally wins. When Protoss wins, it always has to do with, like, Reavers holding these bases against Darkstorm pushes. Ooh, really good feedbacks. I love the Dark Archon usage. I really, really do. I don't know how you feel about this. I know a lot of StarCraft fans think that more Dark Archons should be made. Do you think it's worthwhile to maybe add a second Dark Archon to your army? Oh, look at that. Was that Storms killing Defilers? Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Another one? Oh, and another Defiler dies to a Storm. It's almost as if the Terran player knows what he's fucking talking about.
I promise you, Artosis, he's trying to get those Lings and Lurkers. But yes, there was some collateral damage there.
That was literally
the
clicked on the Defiler, that Storm. Just to make it clear, it was exactly over the Defiler. I'll be accepting your resignation letter after this cast, Tasteless.
To answer your question with the Dark Archon, at this phase of the game, you just want to feedback Defilers.
Yeah.
Getting 2 is a lot. I guess in theory, it may be more feedbacks if there's more Defilers, but the reality is it's like kind of hard to, like, I don't know. I guess it's one of these things, like, it's too hard to do when you're doing all these other things at the same time, right? Feedback's only 50 energy too, right? So you're pretty much always going to have a feedback when you need it.
That's true.
He's actually going to bust this. This is kind of crazy.
Dude, this is some great play coming out of Tulbo. You know, we were kind of giving him a hard time for being the weaker player in the group and making some mistakes earlier. But this is looking like just a beautiful macro game, one of the better macro PVZs we've seen in quite some time.
Yeah. I mean, Tulbo's actually doing a decent job, like, pushing through here. I think there's a world where if he breaks this, he will win this game. There's, like, no attention over here in the bottom left at all.
But Action actually, like, slipped a drone up there with a drop and is making a hatchery. I think he's going to Nidus it and try to kill everything with a Nidus.
Yeah, you could be right about that, actually. Oh, God, you know, we were talking about the shape of the mains in one of the other broadcasts, and, like, these kind of banana, like, boomerang-shaped mains. You can actually hide a hatchery up here, and, like, the Protoss is never going to be checking. You're not going to have, like, pylons spread out up here to spot this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Now, Action ends up holding top right. He drops a lurker here. That is so annoying, man. Oh, my God. And he has the hatchery, so if he can get a Nidus up there, if Tulbo doesn't realize what's going on, he has no vision of that hatchery. He has no vision of that high ground. He has an observer actually pretty close, so he might actually see creep as it spreads out. But, like, he really... Okay, he's throwing some cannons down. I think he sees the creep. Yeah, okay, he
There's
sees the
something
creep.
so funny about hiding a hatchery because once the creep comes out, you know?
Yeah.
It's like a really fat guy trying to hide behind a pillar and you see, like, his side sticking out. You know what I mean? Like, it's just... It's such a big thing to try to conceal and get away with.
It's like when I play hide and seek in my house with my children. It's like literally nowhere I can hide. So they just left, Daddy, I see your feet. But, yeah, look at this. A big drop coming in. Even a Defiler in there. Ooh, a nice storm comes down.
Yeah, he's trying to do everything he can to stop this. You know, you cannot let the Zerg take this main. This is another thing that occasionally happens when Protosses take the natural. Sometimes Zergs can try to sneak, like, hatcheries up into the main. I'm starting to think that Tulbo's got this. But there's one thing we haven't really seen him do, which I'm a little bit surprised by, is Storm Drop. Oh, maybe this led right into that. I think he's going to do that. If you get speed shuttles with Templars, the Zerg kind of can't stop you from storming their workers. Like, a speed shuttle will always outmaneuver Scourge. You don't care if you're losing the shuttle after the drop every time. Oh, my God.
Ooh, really good storms going down. Yeah, Tulbo has a lot right now, and he has started to make some Reavers, too. I was really kind of worrying that he wasn't making them quickly enough, but honestly, the activity he's shown on the map, I guess he knows what he's doing, man, being an ASL player, because he's kept a lot of pressure on. He's defended everything pretty darn well. And, you know, it doesn't seem like he's under, like, obviously this is a decent attack coming out of action. He's starting to break through things, but I feel like he might just have the Reavers in time anyways.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely eventually got the Reavers out here. I guess he's probably only using one Robo. Maybe that's why there's so few. I've seen situations where you get like a couple Robos. I know he's got a Robo at like 6 o'clock and everything. The Zerg, by the way, what they're trying to do now, this is a way a lot of Protosses lose, is the Zerg will just attack everything in the bottom right. Because it doesn't matter if you have the bottom left base, there's cannons and Reavers and Templars there. Just go to where the production is. So Action's going to send everything here, and this could kill Tulbo.
Oh, no. I'm actually
this is
like,
a really painful way to lose.
Yeah. I'm feeling a lot like watching Stork yesterday, where I'm like, wow, this Protoss has played so well, and then the Zerg is like, but, and then is looking like they're just going to kill him. Dude, this is just a non-stop wave of Ling Lurker coming down.
Yeah.
And then he gets the one Darkstorm over the cannons.
Some of my games.
Yeah.
Is like actually make more cannons in my natural near my main base when I know I can no longer be killed in my bottom left location. Because like, here's the thing: all the techs here, all the gateways are here. Look, there's no resources really. I guess for somehow there's resources still in the main. That's actually really hilarious. I guess Tulbo pulled his ropes too soon. So that may be a factor in this game, by the way, because every mineral on this map is starting to matter more and more. This is like one of these games where they could both end up mining out.
Oh, damn.
Nice Psystorm on that group. Beautifully done.
Yeah, kills the 5th Defiler with the Psystorm this game. And continues to push up.
This is so dumb. It's like you're talking about targeting the Defilers, with like these just Defilers in these mixed units. It's so dumb.
Tasteless.
I actually can't believe he's attacking at the top right here, by the way. This doesn't look right to me at all.
I was
like,
actually,
with his army.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, like, would that maybe take the attention of Action up there and maybe help to save his main in a way? Because it's not the never-ending waves anymore. Like, Action has to deal with that. Maybe that allows him to stabilize or something?
Yeah, I think that's what he's trying to do, but it's not going to work.
Yeah.
By the way, we just saw a second ago Tulbo like kind of lean back in his chair and take a big deep breath. I think he's realizing like, oh, I might lose this game.
Yeah.
Like he's starting to lose control. Once you take that bottom left base, you just try to suck up all the resources and play like one of these campaign missions where it's like you need to last 30 minutes, you know.
Yeah.
Fight the Zerg forces for 30 minutes and then Jim Raynor's going to get you out of here or whatever. That's what you want to do, is just like sit back and defend, because the Zerg is going to probably lose long term. I wish we had more Psystorm drops, by the way, because there's basically only 2 super rich resource locations on this map right now for Zerg. It's the 2 top right bases. So there's a lot of times a crazy amount of drones over there. So a couple of good Psystorm drops can be devastating.
Yeah, that's actually kind of a funny thing about Metropolis. It's like the map feels huge, but it's really like a 12-base map. And obviously it's got like those center patches, which are kind of funny, which we aren't seeing taken. But like, yeah, it doesn't actually have that many resources here, even though it feels like it's the biggest map in the pool.
You know what I wonder? I wonder what the probe count was when he was on 4 bases, because it feels like these 2 bases, like all 4 of the starting bases for Protoss should have been mined out, and only one of them is.
Well, actually,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we had a little moment in Terran vs. Protoss where the Protoss metagame for a little bit became like a 55 probe meta where you were like really army heavy. And actually Tulbo was like the chief proponent of that. Like he did that all the time. So maybe he was doing something kind of similar where he's like playing more unit heavy and just kind of retaining his army.
Oh my god, he's going to target the Zealot. That's so sick, actually.
That's pretty smart, yeah.
So where are we at now? I mean, this is wild because in a normal game, the bottom right bases are mined out, but I think Action may win this game because he's going to get to scrape up the remaining minerals in the bottom right.
Well, that's kind of funny, actually. If he ends up mining from Tulbo's bases down there, that would be hilarious.
He's taken 3 o'clock.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, that's... Dude, 3 had to be low. He got that forever ago. He got that. That was like a quick third. That can't have that much. Right?
I guess I'm just confused how he didn't mine out, because like the Zerg is clearly mined out, and Zergs, they have less workers at all those bases. So Action's going to try to tee up a Guardian push.
Oh my
which
god.
this is, by the way, when you take out, this is like, we almost never get to talk about this. But when you take out the Protoss's bottom right main and they have to rebuild all the infrastructure, they usually don't rebuild the starport, or Stargate, excuse me.
Yeah.
So, like, if you have 10 Corsairs, you can just fight the Guardians and you're fine. But if you don't, you're just Psystorming Guardians forever. And then eventually they overpower you. So this, I think, is going to be the last few moments of this game.
Tulbo has a lot of splash damage, but look at this. A mass sling drop is going towards the main, and now up comes the attack. A lot of Archons, a lot of Psystorm, a lot of Reavers. It's kind of funny that he throws Darkstorm down when he has a lot of Guardians. That doesn't seem to go well together, but yeah, here comes the drop into the main base. I think this does it for Tulbo, but this was one of my favorite Protoss vs. Zerg games I've seen in a long time. This was super cool.
We don't normally get games that go on this long, right? Like, a lot of times it's either the push wins or it doesn't win, but we got to go all the way to, like, the very, very end here, nearly 30 minutes. Action's just so strong. I think Tulbo played one of the best games I've ever seen him play here.
For sure.
But, Action he knows every step of the way what he needs to do. And you can see the Guardians, they can kind of just move out of the way. And, like, you don't really care if you lose Guardians over time. You're just kind of making them waste all their resources. He's about to just send everything in here.
Well, this is definitely a meat grinder. The Lings and Lurkers
I feel like he could have waited a little bit and let the Guardians do some more work.
Totally. I definitely agree with that. Like, get him to at least use up his Storms and stuff. But as he opens this up, I could see Tulbo maybe clearing these Guardians between the Archons and Psystorms, but it's a losing proposition either way. Action is up 77 supply. GG. And Action gets to go to that final match, showing his absolute prowess in late game Zerg. But Tulbo, like, that was impressive. You can see the pain in his face. I feel like he played that really well. Like, that was a very cool game.
Had he kept the bottom right alive, I think he would have been fine. I think he needed maybe one or two more robos in the bottom right. You basically want a robo that's literally always making Reavers for the whole game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. I mean, I feel bad for Tulbo. Action, though, looking so strong. And this means we're going to have Action versus sSaK coming up here.
Well, the rematch. Can Action do a little bit better? It should be probably on a 4-player map this time, so going to play out a little bit differently than Eclipse. Either way, a Terran or a Zerg moving forward here in our next match. Quick commercial break, and we'll be back.
don't wanna go up solo loco. Don't you wanna come with me like Yoko? We can go lose ourselves in Tokyo. No one's gonna know we'll move like locals. Don't you wanna come with me? Don't you wanna come and see? We only live once, don't we? Don't you wanna be free?
I don't mind to live forever as long as you'll be mine. You'll be mine. Every minute, every second. So please don't waste my time. Don't waste my butterflies in my eyes. All I see is you and I. Kind of blind, no, I can't seem to find a piece of me, a piece of mind. I don't mind to live forever as long as you'll be mine. You'll be mine. Every minute, every second. So please don't waste my time. Don't waste my I can live forever, but I need you by my side. Can you be my guilty pleasure? 'Cause if not, don't waste my time.
Welcome back, everybody. This is going to be a great match. We already saw one awesome game between these two. Clearly very evenly matched. It's the final game now of the round of 24. Either of these guys realistically could move on. I think Action, I always weigh him as a little bit more likely to advance than sSaK, but sSaK looked great today.
He did.
And, you know, the thing with Action, he's such a strong tournament player. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. He mixes builds well. He definitely stays calm under pressure, I'd say. He won't always make the right decision, but it's nothing like sSaK falling apart like we saw. You know what I mean? Where it's just like,
right.
Oh, yeah, no, his desk is shaking, his knees are weak, spaghetti in his pockets, whatever it might be, you know?
Spaghetti's in his pockets.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, I guess we're going to go into this right away, guys. Game 5, the last of the round of 24 is underway, guys. Let's see who finally advances before we go on to the round of 16. Guys, one final plug for the Patreon here. Just consider signing up. We need your support. We hope if you've been meaning to do it, that we can give you that final push and you hop on there and support the ASL. I also want to remind everybody, after this broadcast, there is a week of no matches, okay? Everybody always forgets this. So we've been good. We've always uploaded or had the games uploaded about 36 hours after they've occurred live in the studio. But the following week, there is the group selection. So we'll have that uploaded for you guys. That does take a couple days to get fully trained. There is Drogo. I see him now.
Yeah.
That does take a couple days. So that'll be ready when Ziggy's finished translating it. But it's a lot of work.
Indeed.
And then the week after that, we start the round of 16. And it's every... it'll be uploaded every, Wednesday and Thursday. And if you want to see it live, it's every Tuesday and Wednesday.
Exactly. Yeah, it'll be 2 days a week after this. So, and of course,
wait, am I wrong about that? Is the broadcast actually Monday? I think I might have been wrong. The actual broadcast occurs on Monday.
Yeah. Monday, Tuesday now is the current schedule. Monday, Tuesday, and for this, the round of 24,
sorry about
Monday,
that.
Tuesday, Wednesday.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So So,
Well,
so
that's
if you want to see
Korea
it
time,
live
which is
in
ahead.
the studio,
So yeah.
right. So if you want to see it live in Korea, it's Monday and Tuesday. You can buy the ticket ahead of time, or if it's open, you can get to the venue and they'll show you how to buy it on your phone. But yeah, just reminding everybody, no ASL next week. So don't come into our streams and yell at us that it's not uploaded yet. It's not happened yet.
Yeah. When's the next day? I need my ASL fix.
You forgot to upload it.
Yeah, we never will, guys. It's oh. Okay, well, the SCV is going to get up here pretty quickly, but the gas was taken more quickly from action. Oh, he actually chases him away with the drone. Okay, so when you take the gas that early, it's kind of a little trick, but the SCV is going around, and I guess it's going to be able to see. So here's the thing, guys. It takes 20 seconds to mine 100 gas. Okay? So when you get it, when you get it a little bit earlier, sometimes, like, there's this little trick where if you get the gas a little bit early and Terran doesn't realize, they'll see the layer at the normal time, but you'll actually have speed going as well. And that can throw things off. Now, there's a bunker being made, so everything I said, throw it out the window, because obviously this is screwing with the economy. But it looked to me like Action wanted to sneak a speed upgrade and maybe get an advantage with that. But there was a wall anyway, so probably wouldn't have worked. So it's, neither here nor there, but does block this because it's not actually like an 8 racks or something like that.
Interesting. These guys, it's always so funny looking when the Zerg has to hold off a rush because their mains are so naked. When it comes to drones, there's like 3 drones in there. But this is 2 hatch layer tech.
And, the layer is a little bit late now. So that was actually a great move from sSaK. It really kind of threw Action off a bit. And now he's got 6 slings where, if you're going to play just a regular game, you might not want 6 slings right now, especially against a wall-in. He does have an Overlord in a great position to be able to watch the Marines walk in and out. And sSaK probably will walk the Marines out just to try to get him to do a little bit more. But he probably won't attack with them, I would say.
So we've got the Academy coming along here. These positions are pretty close, right? Is this uncomfortable for the Zerg in a TVZ?
Actually, I would say it's a little bit more uncomfortable for the Terran because the Zerg can rally to behind the natural and do like really heavy Mutalisk harassment if they want to. They don't have to take that route, but
the minerals point out, right?
Yeah. And honestly, Radeon is one of the better design maps where it's not that bad defending the mutas, even if they go pretty hard. There are maps where, like, the mineral patches are a little bit too close or something, and the mutas just massacre everything. But as you can see, there's some decent space behind there, so your turrets actually get okay firing time. So it's not too bad, but, like, that's something you would think of as Terran is like, okay, I might be taking additional SCV damage on my natural compared to a more normal game.
Okay, we're waiting for this Spire to finish up here and this Muta Harass to start. It's going to be a little bit of downtime here, I think. Oh, Terran actually is going to come out here and maybe try to do a little poke, force a Sunken Colony or 2.
Yeah, it's such an important move. And in fact, 2 of them go down. So playing a little bit safe here. Really nice. We actually saw something kind of similar with, how Scabe kind of moved out yesterday and forced that as well. I think it was against Queen, if I'm recalling correctly, but yeah. And look at that. He actually canceled and then put it back because he's like, oh, he's not coming. Cancel. Oh, he is coming. Put it back up.
What's his fire? Oh, this is Fireback going to go scout for another main? This is very cute.
Yeah. So anytime you're doing a move out, you generally make Firebats in case there's a counterattack. But as soon as the chance of counterattack goes away, like you've moved back with your Marines or whatever, you send the Firebats out to scout because they'll kill 1 Ling or possibly 2 Lings if you like micro it and see it. And like it's a great thing to scout with because otherwise the mutas will just pick them off. They don't do anything.
No, it's a good point. You basically don't need them, and you're right. Firebat 1-on-1 will always beat a Zergling, where a Marine will not.
Yeah. Right,
the mutas are going to be inbound here. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say exactly the same thing as you there. And it's just like the game, this just looks like a really normal game right now. Very normal. Like, I would say that sSaK has like a slight advantage, but it's not something that is easy to translate into a victory. especially against someone the level of Action. But I would say just like, the mutas aren't super fast here. Action doesn't have a third hatch, so it's not awesomely comfortable for Action, and that's a really nice timed factory as well for sSaK.
Looks like the mutas can't really get that much done right now. He hasn't been able to get any kind of key damage. He is going to take the bottom right. Ooh. I really like this. So this is a little bit... What I wanted to point out on this map, like if you're going to take any base that we could say is a safe third base, there's only 3 locations. If you're in these spawns where you're both sharing the top, it would be the bottom left main, the bottom center third base for like, if you were to have a spawn in the bottom of the map, and then the bottom right. And the bottom right's kind of a counterintuitive one. Terran's not as likely to check there because normally you'd expect them to take the bottom left because it's easier to defend. It's really far away. But if Action gets away with this, it's going to be a pretty big moment because it's going to be another main down in the bottom left that could be taken later on. Keep in mind, if Terran fails in the push, right, they just sort of go mech and turtle up and try to, take the rest of the map. So this could have major impacts later on.
Action is outplaying sSaK pretty heavily here. I don't like the way sSaK is playing this. He's playing a little bit blind, and he sent his Marines to the bottom left because he's thinking the same thing you are, that makes the most sense as the next base. And Action, he added Sunkens and went hard on the mutas. So there's like no mining at the natural because sSaK has moved out with all of these Marines and medics. They're finding literally 0 value, whereas Action is getting tons of value here.
Yeah, this is actually insane. He's completely pushed the expansion off. He's had to lift this off. You almost never see this done with just mutas, by the way, guys. Think of all the TVZs you see. Normally, there'd be like 5 lurkers at the bottom of the ramp, and that's what Terran's having to lift off. This is kind of crazy.
And this is also the power of a hidden base. Like, if the base had been in the bottom left in a non-hidden location, sSaK would have easily killed it, and we'd have some sort of parity because of that. Now, 2 Marines have been sent down to the bottom right, and he actually will find it now. So there's some potential still for him to attack there. But that's a very small group there. Like, I think Action's just doing very well in this game so far.
No, Action looks extremely strong. sSaK seems to be stabilizing. He's moving back down his ramp. It looks like the 2 Marines, by the way, are going to remain hidden. So I think what he's going to bank on is that later on in this game, when there's a lot of drones at that base, he can stim it and kill all the work. Well, hold on a second. What is he doing?
Yeah, you can actually target, like if you have 2 Marines with +1, you can target down the 2 Hydras. Oh, well, Action out-micros him and gets a third Hydra. Yeah, like normally what happens is you just grab them as they're rallying to the ramp. And like, if you kill them, then there's no lurkers there. And in fact, look where the eggs are morphing. That's not a good place to morph. So like, if he gets up there, he actually has a ton of potential to kill this base now. 1 egg does not block the space ramp like this.
Oh, my God. Oh, I thought the mutas weren't actually attacking for a second. I didn't see the animations coming out. He's going to try to take this fight down here. The Valkyrie's going to drive this away. The lurkers burrow now. A beautiful scan there at the last second. I think he's just going to barely bust that down. I think that... Oh, wait, never mind. The reinforcements are going to come in here.
Yeah, that base looks like it's dead. So that's the risk of taking the base down there. It actually did a lot for him earlier on, and then he just couldn't follow it up with defense. But sSaK is in a funny spot too, isn't he? Because he doesn't have any vessels. His factory is floating. Yeah, he makes some bunkers so that he's not going to die to lurkers pushing him. But like for instance, we might just see lurkers contain him, and he's sitting here playing with like drop ships. I think he lost all of his Valkyries. Like, it's really hard to say who's winning this game after that. I think Action actually is slightly. But this is a weird place.
It's hard to say. I think actually this is favoring sSaK now.
You think so?
Yeah, because there's no third.
Yeah.
I think it might come down to if you can just stop him from expanding a couple more times. Zerg is pretty bad in a really long game on 2 base.
Yeah.
Terran's going to have minerals at this base forever because it keeps getting lifted off and SCVs keep getting killed. It's a surprisingly scrappy game, by the way.
It is. It is very, very scrappy. But games like with sSaK can get like that because he plays such a kind of weird technical style. And like watching him try to play this with Valkyrie dropship, you know, everyone's had that idea of like, yeah, the Valkyries clear the mutas, and then like, you know, the dropships can get in, and you know, it's like one of those theory craft, like I don't actually play StarCraft ideas, but
it's
sSaK
like
is
I'm on
going with
Team
it.
Liquid all day, and I'm arguing with other people about how the game could be played.
Yeah,
No, it's so funny because we see so many Valkyries die, like just an absurd number. I feel like it's a hard to control unit. It's not a great unit overall. It's not like a Hydralisk or a Mutalisk, for instance. But yeah, it's funny to see him out on the map and those getting sniped down here. What do you think about this weird, I know we're watching this harass, but this kind of like weird contain that he has set up over here? Because he can't get he can't get a drone out with that.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I actually wasn't thinking about that, but you're right. He actually has a contain on the Zerg on 2 bases. That is such a rare thing. You literally never see that. You know? Like and look, he's got a little contain down there too with his own lurkers. So we have like this, both players are containing each other on 2 bases. Obviously, it's better for sSaK, right? And he's floating the factory now. Is that factory going to land is my big question. Like, is he going to get some tanks to try to help out? Is he going to try to get vultures because the game is getting super scrappy? You know, you get into some of these scrappy situations, and Zerg's win rate goes way down, so they might do something like a big lurker attack. Hey, lay some mines. Okay, they might get screwed by that. But, yeah, I don't know. It's such a wild and different game right now.
By the way, I got to point out, if Action loses, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, he would not be in the round of 16.
Yeah.
Has Action ever lost in the round of 24? I'm trying to remember. I feel like he never has. He's always so deep in our tournaments.
I think you're basically right. There's probably a season, because we're on Season 19, it probably happened once. But, like, yeah, he's a round of 8 guy. Like, he really is. He's had so many round of 8s.
You know what else I was thinking about? Correct me if I'm wrong on this, because sometimes I misremember things, but I don't think we had a single Zerg versus Zerg in the round of 24.
Oh, yeah. And we were supposed to as well. But then, like, everyone screwed up and lost a game. Action lost a game here. Jaedong lost the game against Stork, right? Yeah, you're right. No CDZs. Yeah. Damn, it really has been a great round of 24.
It's the best season yet. I'm like, too bad we couldn't drop our ZVZ knowledge bombs on you guys.
Yeah.
I know that's why you watch our casting. No, it's funny. I wonder how many round of 24s we've had where there's just one matchup that never happened. Because I feel like that's got to be extremely rare, right?
Have we seen a Terran versus Terran? Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Speed played TVT.
Yeah.
Okay.
First week we did. I think. But,
so you're right. That's the only matchup we haven't seen. And if Sulky has his way, we won't see it at all.
Yeah. Now, I mean, how many more minerals are actually left here? This might be one of these awkward games where the Zerg has to take like that third base at like the one you take in every other matchup that's not TVZ. You know, just a third base like on low ground where you're just trying to defend it with like all your army.
Yeah.
You know, Zerg don't want to defend their base with their whole army. They want to be counterattacking and doing stuff. They want to have like 3 lurkers in a really abusive position to hold everything off. It's a very funny thing about the matchup.
They want to win by sending stuff through Niduses to obscure locations to defend it. You normally don't play like just straight up, oh, now I take my 3rd and now I take my 4th and just naturally expand around the map like Protoss or Terran do. Like, you want your bases to be spread out, make it hard for your opponent to attack. Okay, he did land it, and we actually see a second factory as well. Is he just gonna... He might go heavy Siege Tank because it's turning into Hydra Lurker Defiler. And you kind of... Unless you have a decent lead and a good tempo advantage, you generally do need to make Siege Tanks against this because the Plague grind is insanity.
Okay, he's going to keep trying to push in here and hit this. Remember that Terran isn't pressured to get a third base the same way as Zerg is. We're at 15 minutes, nearly 16 minutes actually, and the Zerg does not have a third gas. Every lurker that's killed, every muta that's killed is huge. Ideally, Zerg want to get up to 4 gases and then, you know, as many more as they can after that. And that's when the Zerg gets a 4th gas, they can kind of do whatever they want. So it seems like what Action's play is right now is to do this like Hail Mary push into the natural and win that way. This is insane.
Yeah, I'm surprised this is what he's going for, but he has a lot of Dark Swarms in there. Like, he made 2 macro hatcheries in his main when this started to go south. And so that gives him a lot of Zerglings, a lot of Defiler food here. But the Irradiate's coming
Nice.
down, plus the tanks grinding. I don't think this ends well for Action. This really is starting to look like a
siege
sSaK
tanks on the
victory.
high ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the drone's going to expand.
What, a third base? That's crazy.
Yeah, he's taking a third base? God, that's going to be a really tough third base to hold. You never see that base taken, like, ever in
It's
this
super
matchup.
rare. Super rare. It's like the last place I scout if I can't find bases. And when Zerg
Yeah,
takes, I'm like, that's
right.
cheese. Okay. Okay, another Dark Storm goes down.
So
Here is the big problem I'm seeing. Like, this push is never going to work against high ground tanks, 2 factory siege tank, and Irradiates just sprinkled in, as well as some Marines and Fire Bats and whatever. Like, maybe you can keep the contain up, which is cool, but yeah, it doesn't feel like something that's going to work long term.
is he going to just try to unload this, like, behind the minerals? Okay, so he's throwing this in here. Kind of an unusual move to see. I think super disruptive, by the way. Just these few Marines over here. I mean, Zerg is being stretched so thin. Terran is barely going to get that third base up. I think he had to lift it off for a second, but he could just, move it back over here.
Dude, the Marines are
even
actually
over
doing
time-
a lot.
Yeah, I kept thinking there was going to be Lings that have killed this off, but it hasn't actually happened yet. I think Action's almost dead. I think he's cooked, Artosis.
Yeah.
The kids say. They say let him cook.
Let
no
him
cap.
cook.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, it does look like he's pretty screwed. He's right on borderline of death.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
that was a good snipe on that lurker.
70 supply is like the betting line for ZVT. 70 supply is
Yeah.
exactly where they can still hold on. And like so many TVZs just end the second they drop below that, because like you're so sparse at that point that everything gets broken. And like he's right there, he's right at that line, but sSaK is not at his throat right now. So he's staying in, he's trying to make this work out. And Action's actually expanding to the south. Dude, he's playing this like a Terran player expanding. It's like this really late third base. And now he's taking the fourth that's closest to him. And it's just like... And it looks like he's dead the entire time. Yeah, he's playing it exactly like a Terran player.
I think that I think there's a world where Action can actually bounce back.
Really?
Here's the thing. I think so. I mean, I thought Terran was going to push this. The whole reason why we were surprised that he was going to take that base, and it showed how, what kind of dire straits he's in, is that Zergs can't ever hold that base. But if Terran doesn't push it, then it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we need to see him move down here and take out not just the base that we're seeing make, but that third base. And instead, it almost seems like sSaK is kind of playing scared.
To be fair...
It's like he doesn't know what to do.
Well, he's only been mining from one base for quite some time. He's finally going to land his third command center again. But, like, his economy is really weak. 117 supply, that's not that much in TVZ. Like, that's not a whole lot. And Hydra Lurker Defiler is the hardest to kill composition. Like, most games that Terran win against Hydra Lurker Defiler, it's either you break them right as they start it, or you make them mine out, basically. Because it's just, like, plagues for days, and, like, plague and then Darkstorm over your Hydras. Like, it murders Marine Medic. And, like, you can't really hit as many Irradiates because they're plaguing vessels, and they're zoning them out with Hydras with range and stuff. It's actually, like, a very hard composition to play against. It's really very popular right now.
Yeah, it's super tough to fight. I do think if you're going to play, like, Defiler, like, Hydra Lurkers, sometimes Mass Siege Tank is very good.
Yeah.
Because, the splash damage is strong enough that the Hydras can't really survive it under the Dark Swarm.
Yeah, exactly.
By the way, I think this is going to be the deciding moment, is this push. If Zerg can hold this off, this game goes on, and we're in a crazy drawn-out TVZ. But if Terran can actually push through here, and in theory, both of these new bases for Zerg are very hard to hold because it's just so pushable. Because there's no ramp to exploit with Lurkers and Dark Swarm. Oh my God,
Dude.
he just keeps getting these dropships.
Yeah.
It's insane.
He's gotten so many dropships. But look at this. Oh my God, this Darkstorm is going to be crazy. Oh, and he gets a Lurker and another Plague. Plagues everything, Tastosis. This is why sSaK wasn't attacking.
That was insane. He drove that back. This push is basically failed, and somehow Action's in this game. Keep in mind, the other bases that are going to be really strong and easy for him to hold, he hasn't taken yet.
That is a good point, and he's expanding now. Like, he's starting to really take control of some areas of this game. 103 to 124 supply. That's like not bad for Action at this point.
Yeah. Okay, some irradiates coming down here. You know, when he was on just the 2 bases, that's when irradiate becomes so painful because you're just getting such value. You don't have a whole lot of recourse for the irradiate. He's still making these dropships, by the way. sSaK is going to try to, once again, kind of plow into the main and do some damage. He's got the center position, and it seems like there's enough infantry comboed with the tanks where you can't really just kind of cheese it out with a couple of Zerglings.
I think it is funny that he just keeps making dropships, and I can't blame him. Like, that's one of the primary ways you actually end up winning against Zerg. But, like,
yeah,
that's kind of a
D-matrix them.
He's going so many dropships. You're like, he's burning out the Scourge on his dropships. There's, like, no Scourge left because he sucked them all up with 10 supply at a time.
He's going to get this drop in the main. I think that Zerg just has enough where this is going to fail. By the way, when you see these drops start to fail a lot over time, it's hard to appreciate how much supply has been lost in the whole process.
It makes a huge difference. Each dropship generally represents 10 supply and quite a bit of resources.
Yeah.
Generally like 150 gas and, you know, like 300 minerals and... Or 400 minerals, so that's quite expensive, and then it dies to like 25.75. So it's just like you're looking for big returns, and when you keep getting like big negative returns, it really adds up.
Okay, he's going to try to do another push here. There's an insane amount of tanks here. Oh my God, the Dark Swarm right in the middle. There's one lurker that's burrowed, and there's nothing you can do about it. He's going to try to just push past it, I guess.
Yeah, well, he does get some Marines down there, so some potential. But look at the Lings, the flank of Dark Swarms in here as well. I think he can save this hatchery. A lot of drones are going down, but I think he'll save the hatch.
Well, let's see. I mean, he can always play keep away, right? The Dark Swarm cloud comes down. He just runs to a new location. That might just be enough, Zerglings.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got enough to take that out. And, you know, he didn't get most of the drones. I don't know if he actually saw those drones that were pulled away, but he did have an opportunity to basically run down there and stem and hit it. Zerg's now got another base, this time the natural in the bottom left.
sSaK is running out of minerals at his natural. He needs another base really badly. He's been hemorrhaging units. Like, he just did like a 7 siege tank attack with more Marines and medics, and it died, and now he's trying it again with less. And when you see something like that, it's like, oh God, it didn't work last time. Why is it going to work this time? He wasn't even really efficient with it last time. So it feels bad, but okay, wins that first little battle at least.
He's going to try again. I mean, look, we just need one of these pushes to work for Terran to win the game. Again, all these places are a lot more attackable because they don't have the obscure, abusable positions. It looks like once more Dark Swarm's going to come out here just in time to blockade that. Could Terran try to seesaw a back up to the top left and hit that base he was fighting earlier?
One thing I want to mention is he is making a huge mistake by not making a bunch of fire bats. Right now, all the top ladder Terrans in games like this are actually mixing in a third fire bats. And if you have a bunch of fire bats here,
right.
Yeah, you crush the Lings, and then these times where there's one lurker and a Dark Storm, you just send 3 fire bats and kill it. So I feel like this is a bit of a mistake for sSaK. Like, there are definitely a lot of fights that he could have won if he had some fire bats in there.
Okay, he's going to once again just barely have enough to surround this. There's another attack up at the top, though. I don't know. The longer this game goes on, the more it's starting to just feel like Action is too strong. Also, there's no real 4th base that Terran could take easily. I mean, maybe he could take 12 o'clock, but, like, that's going to be hard, right?
Very, very.
You could be Defiler pushed so easily there. And the bottom right, it's, you know, it's funny how these subtle changes in the way a map is shaped, and it's like, oh, you can't take a 4th base on this map. There's no way.
Yeah. It is hard to take a 4th on Radion. Like, oftentimes you'll take what Action took as his 4th in Terran vs. Zerg in these positions. But like it's very counter-attackable, so you have to be really careful and kind of zone Zerg out from it. Now, action. Oh my God! And that's it.
Oh my God!
He hits the third,
yeah,
and you can see the smile on his face. He's like, "Oh, that was difficult."
I gotta say, oh man, I feel bad for sSaK. He played really well, and he knows he was like winning there. It was a weird game because Zerg kind of did what they're not supposed to do. He basically took a very difficult route and took a base that's, you know, kind of a no-no. Literally, that base that he took for his third is the worst place you can expand.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah,
pretty much.
Other than maybe taking SAK's third, maybe. But you guys get what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Like, of all the reasonable places you could expand to, that's just a really tough spot to actually take. So I mean, it's crazy. SAK's gonna be beating himself up for that. I guess we're gonna go back to a replay here. There's a lot of moments they could have picked for the replay. So, yeah, this was probably the most significant point. He got the drop, so he was able to pull a lot of the army away. But he wasn't able to make anything really happen here with the push.
This was the last time he had actually a very good, strong army. And you can see how low his SCV count is, 37 during all this. That's like your SCV count at 7 minutes, man. Like that's tough, 23 minutes in. But he brought these Siege Tanks forward, and the flank of the Dark Swarm was just too much. And he just didn't have anything to clean this up. Look, 1 Fire Bat in the entire army. Honestly, you have 5 Fire Bats here, you clean that.
You know, you're 100% right that he should have just overmade Fire Bats. Fire Bats are so bad versus Lurkers, like it's actually really funny. But they can at least fight Lings. And sometimes it's like 2 Lings under a Dark Swarm, and the whole situation's untenable.
Or in these situations where there's 1 Lurker,
right,
you can go kill 1 Lurker with Fire Bats. That is totally doable. 3 Fire Bats, kill a Lurker.
You know, even these drops, even like a few Fire Bats in the drops, you know, where, okay, you don't just die when Cracklings get there. I think you're right. He just didn't get the Fire Bats. Not saying he would have necessarily won, but something he could have done to maybe improve the situation. Guys, we've got that interview ready
And
now.
that does it for Group F of the round of 24 of ASL Season 19, as we have our final player joining the round of 16 this season. Scoring a comeback in the last match to advance to the round of 16, let's talk to action. Congratulations. Thank you. Sitting down here in preparation for the interview, for a while you couldn't lift your head up. You must be truly exhausted having played that decider match. I can see you're tired, but we can talk once more now that you've landed this good result in front of so many fans. How are you feeling? To be honest, this is the most I've ever played in preparation, so much so that my arms hurt. Losing that first game, I was very disappointed with myself. I saw Hero play and I thought, we're just so different. I couldn't tell before, but seeing those games, I saw how different we are and I was frustrated. But I worked really hard, I played until the end. It's good that I did, seeing that I won. Regardless of how experienced one might be, just like yourself, that last decider match, slipping up in your defense even just once led to so many difficulties. There were situations where you had to hold on just 2 gases. Even from your perspective, it must not have been easy to endure and play under these ever so stressful conditions. Whenever I got on the back foot, I could feel my hands just start blocking up. I'm dead, I thought, and I nearly threw the match halfway through. It would have been so depressing to get knocked out with how much I practiced, and I was desperate. I played until the end, and as much as I played poorly, so did my opponent, maybe because it's a televised match. It is what it is. I'm glad I thought, let's just keep playing. And not giving up until the end, you blocked a dropship with Scourge, and again, and survived until Defilers came out. The master of Defilers, Action, managed to turn this game around. At what point did you feel you've got this? You've won this? I didn't know right until the very end. But when I managed to secure the natural at the 6 o'clock, I thought, this looks like the end. Yeah, I think that was it. I'm starting to feel just how much you prepared, how much you strive to practice for this season. And another opportunity presents itself as you land this good result. The practice wasn't for naught. You should give yourself some praise for not giving up until the very end. Honestly, my performance wasn't that good, right? None of the games were that good, but in any case, I advanced. I think that's a reward in itself. It's good that I kept trying until the very end. I'll try and play cleaner matches in the round of 16. We won't know how this victory in the decider match of the last group of the round of 24 snowballs, how far you can get this season. We can't know that for sure. And so many people can't help but have expectations for you. What do you want to say to the fans?
일단은 사실
I always wanted to win. The same goes for the ASL. I got a good result, and this season I'll try and go far and do it in a clean manner. I bet your colleagues will be moved by your games today as they could witness your practice, your striving determination from up close. I'm sure you have things to say to your colleagues as well. I wanted to thank Minnie and Barracks for helping me practice. And to close things out, you know, we've been having a hard time in our university team, Inode. So I worked hard because I wanted to change the mood. I'm glad I did. I want to thank our boss, Kim In-ho. And Yuran showed up, so did our members. I hope you guys win tomorrow and lift up the atmosphere in our team. Many fans will be cheering for you and looking forward to a great round of 16, seeing how hard you had to fight in the round of 24. Once again, congratulations on making the round of 16. Thank you. And there you have it. Action, the final round of 16 player of the season.
All right, guys. That does it for the round of 24. Again, do not forget, there is no ASL casting next week. Okay?
Yeah.
So there's going to be a little bit of downtime.
In fact, it'll be something like 10 days before the next group is up, because that's just how it works from here.
Yeah. So you are allowed to go back online and live your normal life. You don't have to avoid spoilers. What an amazing round of 16 we have, by the way. 5-6-5 racial distribution. You literally can't get more even than that. Yeah, you know, it's another season without Flash. I think the big question is still, you know, is sulky going to go all the way? It's going to be just groundbreaking if he does. And with Flash not here, it's more likely that, you know, we could have that repeat where sulky just continues to crush. But honestly, all these guys look so strong. Like, I don't think there's a single player in the round of 16 that doesn't look really scary and really viable.
Yeah, it's such a great lineup of players. You can't really ask for too much better than this. And it's some up-and-coming players, too. It's like, I look at Protoss, I'm like, that's exactly who I thought I'd see. I look at Zerg, that's exactly who I thought I'd see. I look at Terran, and I see Scan and Barracks sneaking in there, right? And that's like, oh, we have these up-and-coming guys now, Royal and JYJ. Is their time at the top done? Are they being replaced by some of these other guys?
Yeah, times are changing. I mean, everybody's been improving. We're seeing some of these newer players come in here and be a real threat. So, yeah, we will have the interviews translated for you and out as soon as possible. It does take a few days for Ziggy to do that. It's a lot of work. So sit tight. Artosis, any closing thoughts?
No, I think that does it. Thanks for watching, guys. Very much appreciate you. And, yeah, that's it's been a great round of 24. Can't wait for the next round, but it won't be here for like 10 days or something.
Yeah, guys, sign up for the Patreon if you can. And till next time, don't storm those defilers. Bye-bye.